Go live. All right, we're live. Hello, everybody. I am Blue. I am joined by Red.
Heyo!
And Cyan.
Hello, hello.
We're gonna be playing some Uncharted 4, a different game from Goose Game. Ooh, I gotta turn that down because my TV volume is way too loud.
I was like, wait, why can I hear that?
Yeah. We are currently doing a heist with our brother Sam Drake, played by the incomparable Troy Baker, whereas Drake is played by none other than Nolan North. We're just gonna kind of do a heist, have some fun, see how far we're going. About 2 hours of game time. Yeah, just gonna have some fun. Nothing fancy for the stream. Just playing some video games.
Video games.
Yeah. How's everybody in chat doing? Say hi. Tell us how our audio levels are, and we can do some adjustments.
They're all saying hello, 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 grok, hello, hi.
Cool. All right.
It's because they're about 30 seconds behind again. The
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Did we do ultra low latency this time, or just?
No, we're just regular since we have Red on Stream Share. So we are currently trying to break into an Italian villa to infiltrate an auction and steal the Cross of Saint Dismas, which is an artifact inside of which is hidden a very secret map to a secret treasure.
I think you might need to adjust the capture card audio a little bit.
A little up or down?
Is it too loud?
Let's do that. See how that goes. Right now this is just dialogue, so it's going to be a little more quiet than when we're rooting, tooting, and shooting, but...
That's true. They can get pretty loud, especially when the
we're talking about, right?
Yeah. Once those nades start flying, it's go time.
Not you. I know you two have never seen eye to eye. Huge understanding.
Honestly,
But
my
I trust
favorite
him,
bit of just
right? He's family.
voice acting gag casting these days is that everyone has acknowledged that Troy Baker and Nolan North sound extremely similar, so they keep getting cast as brothers.
Yeah. It was funny, there was an interview they did for when they were first in Uncharted 4, because they were like, you know, friends from a distance just in the voice acting community. And then it's like, yeah, we met for this game, we just started hanging out, and it turns out we're really good friends now, so we're kind of like a package deal nowadays. It's great.
Which one of them was Magni and which one was Modi? I don't remember.
Every time I look it up, I instantly forget, so I cannot tell you which. But the fact that they're functionally indistinguishable, it's a testament to both of their abilities.
I think North was Magni because Magni died first, and sometimes it's like, oh, whichever one's more well known, he's probably more expensive. We gotta get rid of him.
Nice.
Well, actually, that's the thing with some video game actors unions is that there's kind of a flat rate in some circumstances. So if you have someone on a game, it's just you pay them for being in the game, and then however many lines they do is almost irrelevant. I don't know if that's what they had for Uncharted 4, but that is a deal they have sometimes in games, which is why they had a really hard time getting Kristen Bell back in for the Assassin's Creed Revelations, because they only had her on a contract for 3 games, and the designers were like, what if we made more games with Ezio? And they're like, oh wait, we spent all our chips, we can't use her for Assassin's Creed 3 now. Well, I guess we gotta kill her.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh, chat said I was a little quiet.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Red, can you put your gain back up to where it was?
Yeah, I've upped it up again.
Thanks, because we can't raise it over here.
Oh, whoops. My bad.
You're already on maximum over audio.
Now,
Maximum overdrive.
I think this game is supposed to take place right now somewhere in like the Cinque Terre area, because this big kind of mountainy vista looks a lot like what you'd find in the northwest of Italy near places like Genoa, but this game is wildly unrealistic because this auction should be closed. That's a health hazard. There's no way this would be allowed to fly.
Think you can rope it?
Hey, they didn't know at the time.
I can rope it. Watch
His
this.
heist has been
Remember
canceled due
going
to coronavirus.
Ah.
Nope. That is fully the wrong button, Nate.
Throw
There we
that
go.
grappling hook. Wow.
I missed. See, it's
There we go.
See? Yeah, it's not bad.
All right.
For a second.
Now we swing and just completely manipulate our own momentum, which is functionally impossible in a situation like this, but why not?
Oh, like a pro. It's your turn.
Everyone knows you can just dodge in midair by thinking really hard about it.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen Portal. You have so much air control. Chell actually has like little flippers that kick out and allow her to drift.
Hey, bet we can swing off that beam up there.
It's the ponytail. It works like a fin.
Yeah.
You can...
Maybe the air is just actually thicker here.
Oh, yeah.
That's the sequel to Lovecraft's Cold Air, Thick Air.
Extra thick.
Extra thick.
I gotta go back and watch some original Samurai Jack. It's so good.
Yeah, man. So
First try.
I
Alright, no one
have
likes
taken
a
this in the
show.
wrong direction. Oh. Okay, Sam.
Okay.
Sure, show us how it's
Brad.
done.
It looks like you can climb down and make your
Yep.
way over.
Right behind you.
I think this game is giving me unrealistic expectations for how climbable things are in real life.
Oh yeah, I mean obviously everything has perfectly flat little ledges that you can get to, and they'll never break. They're just all chilling there,
Except
and
for the
it's
ones
just
that
a perfectly
totally do
laid out
break.
path for you.
Yep. Except for the ones that do break and drop you into the next action set piece.
No, but those are marked in yellow, so you can tell ahead of time.
You're right, my mistake.
Ah, game design. Where the hell am I supposed to be going?
Oh,
Aha!
I don't know if you remember this specifically, because you weren't really into the voice acting scene at the time, but the year that BioShock Infinite and The Last of Us came out...
Oh, I
was
remember
the
that
year
well.
yeah, that's the year... Oh, I know you remember the year, but that was the year that Troy Baker became, like, top tier, super sought after, because he was the lead in both those games.
Yeah.
And they were both, like, the #1 game of the year. And so after that, everyone was like... Because before that, you know, I'd seen him in, like, some anime and stuff, and I recognized his voice. I was like, oh, hey, it's that Troy Baker guy. That's cool. But now it's like, oh, he's a household name.
Yeah.
All because he had the good luck.
To be in both games of the year. I remember like when the VGAs or whatever they were called back then, the Spike Video Game Awards were going up.
Spiky VJs?
The Spiky Boys. It was like,
Can you
oh,
steal
who
the
will get
lemons?
Voice Actor of the Year? Troy Baker or Troy Baker? And it wasn't a question that it would be Troy Baker. It was merely a question of which performance it would be for. Ultimately, it was, I think, Joel, but no, he can't steal the
Yeah.
lemons.
Aww.
0 out of 10. Lemons are good in Italy. Ugh.
Give us those Italian lemons, boy.
Where is
because
this
you're
lemon
professional.
content that I crave?
You got a job to...
smell
That's
of
not what
fresh
lemon
citrus.
content means.
Is it not? Is this the third phrasing in a row? Jesus Christ.
Well,
Riding
I
a
mean,
motorcycle.
it's fine. Don't worry about it.
3 streams where I've said something incredibly untoward.
Just don't Google the citrus scale and you'll be fine.
Okay. As soon as this stream ends, I'm Googling
No,
it
Please don't.
incognito.
Please don't.
I'm gonna take the precaution, but my curiosity will be the death of me.
Yeah.
What am I trying to just pull this roof? Oh, I'm gonna try to jump out.
Yeah.
Hey-ya!
Wee.
Nice.
Hold.
But yeah, no, the one year where Troy Baker just became like the hottest shit in video game acting. That was a wild time.
And it was
Alright,
both
come on
for
down.
serious Harry Dad games where he escorts a girl whose name could be shortened to Ellie.
Oh my god!
You didn't put that together before?
I didn't put the second part of that together. I knew they were both like Harry Dad games, but I forgot that Ellie and Elizabeth.
Elizabeth.
Oh wow!
Yeah, he must have spent half that year yelling, Elizabeth!
Booker catch.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, the good
The
stuff.
ones I missed.
I mean, those games are basically the same, just with completely different aesthetics.
Can you
Yeah.
not climb up those
Twisted.
little
Oh, we're gonna.
handholds?
Camera didn't make
Yeah,
it.
there you go.
As soon as this dialogue ends,
Matt,
because you can't
Chat,
talk and climb at the same
Why
time.
are you Googling the citrus
You
scale
have
when I
drawings?
specifically informed you not to?
Well, see, you told them not to.
They're good
Thus,
drawings.
they must.
It was a
Wow, that's
metaphorical and a literal forbidden fruit.
Ah, that's fair. Hadn't considered that.
Okay, chat, no one start eating pomegranates.
You'll be stuck in your houses forever.
Oh, too soon.
Oh no.
Too soon.
Oh man.
Again.
The Titanomachy has been postponed due to concerns over the novel coronavirus. It's so funny just seeing like the formula that every company follows when they send out those emails.
You get an email that's like, I'm sure you're wondering how the Olympians are
Okay
hoping
up
to
there.
manage this crisis.
Yeah. I'm good.
We have Apollo on the case, but he's mostly just fucking around, so we don't actually have an end goal in sight, bud.
YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming.
Oh,
Heck.
yeah, I've had that happen before. It's basically buffering a little bit.
Okay.
The
Wow.
latency.
Is it our Wi-Fi's?
I don't know.
We
In
do
a worst
have
case scenario,
a lot of devices on.
we have a
right
lot
now.
of devices on. In a worst case scenario, we can just go to ultra low latency and then
let
drop
me
the
just-
video.
That's not how
Yeah,
that works.
no, let me...
It'd suck if you
Hold
It's
missed
the
right
bit
now.
rate basically, and that's something you can't adjust while you're streaming. So
Ah.
it'll clear up on its own. This happened to me the first time I was streaming the reading thing. So.
Gotcha.
Neat. Climb every mountain, even if it's just a wall.
Come on, Drake. There we go. I have to push the button to go up and down.
How many like random side characters in this game do you think are just like walking on the street and then they look over and they see these two guys quipping while scaling the outside of a building and they're like, they're probably supposed to be there.
Yeah, they're probably window washers.
There's just some like really old Italian guy like sitting at a table in his restaurant smoking a cigarette like, here come the protagonists again.
It's those Drake boys at it again.
Okay.
Damn, Drake boys.
It's like, listen, I don't want to be sassy about the realism, but I feel like after you've been
$400 million
scaling the outside of a building, those tuxes are no longer wrinkle-free and pristine-smelling.
No, you see, they're pretend tux. Oh, actually, you can just see a bunch of wrinkles when it zoomed in on his back, so I'll ignore what I was about to say.
Know what I love about
Sully's there with the iron and the steamer to get everyone looking all nice and spiffy.
Oh,
Yeah, Drake
steamer.
boys.
I thought you said smoker.
Wait, there is Sully. What the hell?
Yeah!
You remember my dead brother,
You remember my dead brother, right?
Sentences we've all said to our friends and family.
I mean,
Yeah.
if you, yeah.
Yep.
If you don't have one sibling that you don't talk about, are you even living?
Let's
Yes.
try keeping him alive, but yeah.
I think somewhere we established, like, there's a character in the OSP Pantheon named Azul who's just me with a mustache and speaks
yes.
Spanish.
Oh, that's right.
See, I know my siblings don't watch this stream, but otherwise I'd make them duke it out to see which one of them is going to be the sibling we don't talk about.
That's Avery's cross.
They brought it out of storage.
Yeah, so there's actually a lot of neat kind of historical stuff going on here. The idea being that they're trying to find the crosses of Saint Avery and Saint Dismas, who were the two guys next to Jesus during that whole Easter business.
Just a small matter of a few hundred eyewitnesses there.
But we'll talk about it more later in the game. But there's a lot of cool
Topical.
like thematic stuff going on with the idea of like a good thief, a penitent thief, a bad thief, and how that relates to Drake's story. But that's like that's the kind of stuff that you'd care about if you were here for the game. And I don't feel like that's why we're all here today. We're just kind of here to mess around. So we'll talk about that when the plot makes it relevant. I'm gonna open the window because I'm hot.
Yeah, I feel like this heist mission basically just exists because it's like, we gotta get everyone in tuxes.
Right.
I mean,
That's it.
We're in it now.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have your animated characters in tuxes, then why are you paying the animators for?
right? It's the obligatory fancy dress episode. Everybody loves that episode.
It has equal and opposite energy to the beach
There's
episode.
no way we
Yes.
can get that close without being noticed.
Scusate, signora. Antipasti?
Press pause, we're pouring tea.
Hi. How are you?
Ciao.
Would you focus?
The waiter wouldn't get noticed.
Waiter wouldn't get noticed unless you're trying to avoid Sam Fisher.
Yeah.
That will work. All right. All right, I'll get to the break room.
I understand that from a story perspective, they have to do the plans for the heist as they're actively heisting, but I feel like you gotta plan real heists more ahead of time, you know?
Yep.
Listen, we still got this.
Everyone
I
go
feel
watch
like-
Ocean's 8.
Yeah.
Follow me.
Yeah. I've been spoiled by some modern media that acknowledges the existence of like smartphones, because now when I see a story where I'm like, you could be texting each other this, it kind of, yeah.
They're
breaks
like,
my
oh
heart.
no, I can't possibly tell her. I'm like, could you just give her a call or like shoot her a text?
I have to drive to the airport really, really fast. No, you really don't. Just call.
Pardon me?
Come on, man. Or text, more accurately. Who calls these days?
This is a
I mean-
fancy place we got here. Oh, is that the ice sculpture of Athena? Oh.
Are you gonna break it?
We're not gonna break it, but it's gonna get broken later.
Ah, boo.
Gonna break it.
Someone in the chat's just like, I made a squid with a little emoji squid.
That's cute.
Thank you, Trinity Blaze.
Aw, you guys.
Going over our exit strategy. It's gonna get hairy.
Ah.
Relax. We've pulled off tougher heists than this.
Yeah, I know.
This isn't the heist thing where you end up
Try
fighting
not to
Nadine,
imagine
is
what
it?
they'll do if they catch
Or-
us.
No.
I don't
no,
think we
this
ever
is
actually
not.
finished this heist when we played it together.
No, we have not.
Oh, well, this would be interesting.
I don't think we fight Nadine at the end of this heist.
Maybe.
That comes later, I think. Oh, never mind.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah, no, we fight Nadine at the end of this heist.
I thought this setting looked familiar. I was like, don't you fall off one of those curtains? Wait a minute.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what happens.
Spoilers!
I was confusing my Nadine fights. There's one that takes place in the woods and one that takes place in this really fancy Italian villa. God, this is so
Yeah.
nice.
The pacing of that fight is really funny because she punches you, you get up, you quip. She punches you again, you get up, you quip, and then eventually she punches you out a window.
Yeah.
Ah, good stuff.
There's actually some Syrian icon Parthian statue.
Treasures of Scheherazade.
Archers. A lot of terracotta stuff. Neat. There's a lot of interesting art here. Wooden crucifix. Yep, that's what we want. 6 gold doubloons. Jeweled cutlass. Victoria's parliamentary mace. I want to know the logistics of how Queen Victoria had a parliament mace. Did she just beat up people when they were speaking out of turn?
I imagine it's like
She
a
has it
staff.
instead of a gavel. Like,
Yes.
order in the court. Whap!
Excuse me, Lord Chamberlain, you've gone over time. Flap.
I had a gavel somewhere around here.
It's over. Oh,
Yeah, it'll
it's,
show up.
It's somewhere.
We've been
It's one of the up and
redecorating.
down. Yeah.
This place is fancy.
Replace gavels with maces. We need to bring back the more aggressive medieval forms of trial. What's the jury business? Fight.
No, the jury just makes the trial by combat harder because you have to fight all of them.
Yeah.
But it's a jury of your peers, so if you're weak and scrawny, then they too are weak and scrawny.
Yeah, and if you're
Right.
like John Cena, it's basically just like court is WrestleMania.
The judge is like, you may think you've proved your innocence, but now you must fight my 12 jury lieutenants.
Let's do this.
Depending on the severity of the crime, you have to fight more or less jurors.
It's locked.
Oh, yeah. The juror's like, you've proved your innocence. I will let you pass. It's just, oh god. What's that, is it 12 Angry Men? Is that the one?
Yeah.
Yeah, 12 Angry Men, but like the fighting anime version.
Oh my god.
Like, why are you so convinced of his guilt? Because of my son issues. Oh no! And then it just keeps going.
And I'm just waiting for like a My Hero Academia parody that's just a court drama.
People are now just making really cute shapes in the comments. Like I saw
Aw.
a puppy,
Oh, fun little
I
like
saw a
ASCII
cookie.
art.
Someone,
Yay.
yeah. Thank you for your ASCII arts. It's much appreciated.
Nope.
That was just a lot
You
of
bastard.
emojis.
Ah.
Oh, real smooth.
I'm not even trying yet. Yeah, I can tell.
The game has a script that if you get too close, you get like 75% of the circle, he runs away. Boop. Bingo. Just touch this man's butt, and we can continue our
Bat.
heist.
And he doubted
right.
me.
But
Probably.
don't worry, I have a girlfriend, I'm married. Not a problem.
Professionals at work. Okay. All right.
Like what, bro can't touch
Try
another
this
bro's
again.
butt? What does that say about you, bro?
We'll still need these.
Don't worry, we're just football players.
Yeah, come on, bro.
Ah, yes. Don't forget your obligatory Bluetooth earpiece.
We'll be in touch.
Yep.
Remember in the
God forbid you use a cell phone.
yeah,
Exactly.
remember in Avengers 2 when none of them had earpieces, and then a bunch of people were really angry about it on the internet, like Captain America puts his finger to his ear, but there's no earpiece, and then in like Infinity War, like they all specifically are wearing earpieces all the time. So those 3 assholes in like video essays aren't gonna be up Marvel's butt about it.
I think that was actually the original Avengers,
need
because I remember
Oh,
there was that
was it?
scene where
Pleasure to
Widow's
see you
like, does
again.
anyone copy? But
Only
she
this
doesn't
time.
have like any earpiece.
Okay, I remember being Ultron, but I very well could be wrong. It's been years since I've last seen it.
Yeah. Well, Ultron is overall the inferior.
You know how it
movie,
is?
So.
Every once in a while.
But
a
that
job
party
requires
scene
us
where they
get
try to
all
lift the hammer.
dull.
That was a good
Oh,
one.
that was pretty good.
Looking sharp, by the way.
One of the
I
funny
think-
things is where Hawkeye's like, oh, I've seen this before because he was there in Thor 1 when Thor was trying to lift it up.
Tell you what
Yeah,
I need for these to
the
run
party
to
scene
another
was good
English
because it was
speaker.
like the only time
if
in
you
any
are
of those
American.
movies where the characters just got to hang out
Yep.
and like be characters at each other.
Those are
Which
always
is
the
like,
bomb.
listen, you can write
Can I
all the
get you
quippy
something?
banner you want, but in order to get people to care about characters, you
back?
actually have to have them interact like people. And then once you have people invested in them, you can tell whatever story you want and people will stay invested. The
trying to
stakes
buy
don't
you a
have to
drink.
be high as long as you're invested in the character's like emotional
Yeah.
well-being. So if you just make the characters like
Ross.
friends and
Isn't she on
compelling
that
and have
party for
interesting
hire?
arcs, then we'll be invested. And that one scene we got in Age of Ultron was like the closest we
She had a
came
run-in
in
with
all
that.
of the movies to just the Avengers hang out, have a day. You know, it didn't last more than like 5 minutes, but it was great while we had it.
Listen, we're all
Bring
set,
back
son.
those like little Disney shorts
stay out
that
of trouble,
happen
okay?
between like the commercial breaks of the
Oh,
show,
yeah.
but do them.
Yes.
But yeah, do like Avengers just living their day-to-day life.
I think
Yep,
like
yep.
the peak of like Avengers fandom was when there were so many people online writing those little like character banter things between
Yeah.
them where like you
Like
know
I want to see Clint Barton bake a birthday cake for Natasha.
yeah, it was like when Peter's
Or
going to
describing
prom
me.
and everyone's just like fighting each other trying to like get him dressed up the way they want. Like Natasha
Yep,
has to
yep.
fucking deck Banner to get like the corsage in the right place.
Yep, that's fanfic. That's why a lot of people like it.
Just those little stories are just so exciting in and of themselves, even though it's like a 12-line text post. They're so fun.
Excuse me. Yeah, that's part of the problem with the serialized movie format because every movie has to be a big story. Like part of the reason why a lot of superheroics like works best as either a comic or a serialized cartoon or just an episodic show is because then you can have some episodes that are chiller and some episodes that are more serious. And you can have all that goofy character banter. I mean, for a while, a standard of quality I was using was like if a show
plan B.
could pull off just lighthearted, goofy character stuff and really serious, like dark stuff. And there's a lot of superhero cartoons that could pull that off pretty well. I mean, I
Animated
think
Batman.
Yeah.
Oh well, yeah, animated Batman, but like animated Batman skewed a little more serious. Like,
Fair.
like Batman,
Fence up
Batman
there.
Beyond hit more like lighthearted notes sometimes, but also like just Teen Titans. You know,
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
it had its like ridiculous episodes, and then it had its like, oh my god, this is still for kids episodes. And
Yeah.
I think any show that can pull off that kind of oscillation is doing something right.
That
But,
first
you know-
season of Young Justice.
Yep, the
seen
first
it.
season of Young Justice did a really good job. I was like, this is goofy, and then episode 9 hit, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, never mind.
Yep.
It's always
Then
good to
everything
bring a
after that was
smoke.
like,
Let's see. Need to run.
but
Listen-
Man, I'm starting to get a little drunk.
Sorry, I'm
What's
reading
going
the
on in the
chat.
chat?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
Maybe the vent access is behind these casks.
oh no. Oh yeah, I see it.
That's a lot of really rare vintage.
Just talking about
Maybe
No, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. We're good.
Don't worry about it, Blue.
Something tells me
It's
that's-
fine. It's fine.
Blue, just focus on the game.
Why does this happen so often to me?
So superheroes, the movies, because they're all like, oh, it's a 2-hour epic adventure. You know, you have your funny moments, but the overarching story has to be, you know, serious. So like, there's some quipping in Captain America,
Damn,
but
dead
mostly
end.
it's like he's gonna get frozen and everyone he loves is gonna be dead. I get
Yeah.
it. And then every movie, you know, Avengers was like, oh, we got everyone in one place, but oh, we kind of got to make them all hate each other first, you know. We can't just jump into them being friends. That would be unrealistic. And also, Loki is maybe doing something or something. And as a result, we get all the way up to Endgame, and it's like,
Dead end.
I don't even know if some of these people know each other's names,
Ugh.
or like birthdays, favorite colors, dark and tragic past. I don't know. I just don't really get the impression any of these people talk on their off hours.
Yeah. It's like when the whole portal scene shows up, as cool as it is, it's like everybody's gonna be looking around like, who the hell are these people?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Falcon comes out, is like, wait, is that famous surgeon?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Why is he wearing a cape?
One of my favorite fan fiction-y internet things is just like the idea of Peter Parker and Nate. Yes,
Nate.
his friend.
Ned?
Ned.
Ned.
Sorry.
Ned.
I'm sorry, chat. Peter Parker and Ned being like, "Oh my God, you're Dr. Bruce Banner. There's a poster of you in our school." Like, I love that idea.
Yeah. Part of the reason I will defend Earth's Mightiest Heroes version of the Avengers until the day I die is because
As well you
that is a show that made me believe all of these superheroes are established and people know who they are, and all of these superheroes have different relationships with each other. Like, there's like just this
Where's
little
your
bit
friend
in
with
like
the
the
candle?
pilot episode where the news report is like, oh, it is now being reported that Thor is engaging the new villain dubbed Graviton over the bay, and I'm like, yes, everyone knows who my boy Thor is. This is all I needed from a show. So,
Sam,
I don't
could
know.
you help? I can't see shit down here. I'm embarrassing myself in front of her fans. I mean, they've seen my videos. I've already embarrassed myself enough. Okay, Sam, you're here for a reason. Clearly, oh no, you're just having fun with
is
that
he
candle
just
there,
glitched?
buddy.
Oh, there we
yeah,
go.
he's glitched. I get that sometimes smokers have nervous tics, but like Sam, really, you gotta cut that out.
PTSD. He's just a little frozen. Give him a hot sec.
Yeah. He's just Blair Witching, man. Give him a minute.
There's a thing I have to move, but it'd make my life a lot easier if I could see what I have to move.
Oh.
Aha!
Should be worried they think they're shouting at Nadine Ross.
Oh, it's okay. You got a cutscene. That means that probably he'll unglitch.
There we go.
Yeah, there we go.
Talk his way out of anything.
Alright, then we go around, and we're in business.
Nice.
Ha ha.
Nope.
Nope.
You know when the designer's like, this will be a simple puzzle, and then it takes like 20 minutes? Because they just don't expect their players will be this incompetent.
Nah.
You okay there, buddy? No, we're not.
It's been a rough day. He hasn't slept enough.
Who, Blue or Sam?
Sam. He's just kind of zoning out. He's like, oh, sorry, the coffee's worn off. Do you think they have coffee at this party?
Ooh,
Kinda
coffee.
fancy. They probably
We
don't
have
have
coffee.
Coffee? Yeah, I'm not so much into the coffee. I'm drinking this delicious
What
Victorian
are we
London
drinking?
Fog.
Okay.
This is a Hardy & Sons tea,
All-
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of our TA has started to blend together in my brain.
Overexposure.
Overexposure. I've drank so many. Like, I usually drink a lot of tea because, you know, I work in an
Hey,
office.
look, the vents.
They
It's
have
all way
tea. I drink a lot of tea. But, like, being at home and being 6 inches away from the tea at any given time with a water heater that remains hot at all times, it's just
Yeah.
like, well, I finished this pot of tea, might as well make another pot
Yeah,
of tea.
I'll immediately make another one. I'll keep the
Yeah.
kettle on so that when I finish this one in about 5 minutes flat, we'll be ready to go.
More tea. On the bright side, it does mean we're finally using up our ridiculous tea stash.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's
That's smaller than
probably about 24 tins or jars of black.
I think, yeah.
And then about 12 tins of green and white, and maybe like half a dozen tins of herbal.
We have a lot of tea.
It's a lot of tea.
We have a tea problem. It's fine.
I made. Ever since I figured out how to make Thai iced coffee, I've been treating that as like a dangerous forbidden technique because it's so strong and like you sweeten it with straight up sweetened condensed milk.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
It's the
You're
proper
right,
way
but
to
it's
do it.
delicious. Exactly. It's the only way. And then like I'll make an entire pitcher and be like, I shouldn't drink this entire pitcher. But who's gonna stop me? And then I'm like 3/4 of the way through and I'm like, I want to die. This is why I don't do this that often.
And you're like, well, if I don't drink it, then someone else might drink it, so.
Don't want it to go to waste.
I'm pretty sure I'm the only person in my household who drinks Thai iced coffee. But
Fair.
yeah,
I don't know.
but that just means that there's like half a pitcher of it in my fridge, just like staring at me accusingly every time I open it. And I'm like, I'll get to it, man. I don't want to crack another can of sweetened condensed milk for this.
Tea goes great with banana bread. That is fair. However, we don't usually make banana bread because we never have bananas because I can't eat bananas. Sad.
Oh.
I can eat
Is it
banana
like-
bread, believe it or not. If they're cooked, it's usually not a problem.
No, I know what you mean. There's like a very slight like kind of burning allergic reaction that's actually really common.
Yeah.
Fresh
But
air,
it doesn't
here we
happen if you
come.
either mash them up or cook them because apparently the protein you react to is like really, really long.
Something
And,
like that, yeah.
Mashing it up and or cooking it is enough to break it and your body doesn't react anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've all got that too, yeah.
Yeah, but the problem is I don't buy bananas because I'm not going to eat the banana. Plus, I actually like bananas. Like, they're good. I enjoy them, but I can't have them.
Yep.
So, in order to make banana bread, you need to have bananas, ideally overripe bananas, and thus...
A fun little
Sad.
detail is when Sam is like, look at that cell tower, and Drake is like, what?
Oh, what
Here,
now?
I'll boost you up.
Sam, are you? There we go. It's just when your loading screen lasts slightly too long.
I was expecting that to, like, fall right down. Because it looks like an extendo ladder. Yep, there we go.
Hey, there we go.
Pumpkin bread is better than banana bread. Pumpkin bread is good. Pumpkin bread with
Sully,
chocolate
we just
chips
got out
is
of the
very
wine
good.
cellar.
All bread is valid.
All bread is
How's it
good,
looking?
unless you have
Sully?
celiac disease or
there?
some other gluten intolerance, in which case only specific
be a
breads
bad spot for
without
you.
gluten are good.
Hopefully he's doing okay.
Yeah, that stuff can really mess
Down the
you up.
kitchen.
Yeah.
Oh man,
And
there was a
of
guy
course
we
it's
knew in high
locked.
school who was like really short right
Yeah.
up until
Look.
senior year.
Yep.
And then he
You know we
hit
can
like
use
6'6",
that by the
and we were
window.
like, oh my
From
god,
the
what
kitchen.
happened? And he was like, turns out I have
Good
celiac,
idea.
and I was
I'll
slowly
boost you up
dying.
and you take care of
But
the lab.
I finally got my growth spurt. We were like, no kidding.
Yeah.
It's like, nice!
Yeah, I remember that vividly. It was like, wait a
Bird just
minute.
fell off that.
I was like, you look familiar, but you're not usually that much higher up than me.
Sorry, there was a bird that just like hopped almost into our window, and I was very confused.
Wow, nature really is healing. We are the virus.
What's that?
It's my favorite meme to come out of this, even though it cares for people being
Oh,
Ooh.
that's how you decked him.
So he wakes up with a headache.
He
in
wakes
his
up
underwear.
the headache in his
been there
underwear.
before,
We've
right?
both been there before, right? I mean, who hasn't?
Yeah, that's a universal experience.
Someone asked cherry bread. Cherry bread.
Never tried it.
Never heard of it. Not opposed to it. Because I imagine
cherry bread.
I imagine it would be like a scone with like cherries in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just cut out the middleman, make it a scone.
Yeah, just make scones. Scones are great.
Don't mess with what's good.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, we were just saying that all bread is valid, and now we're being bread purists.
Well, this person said melon bread, so no. But then they said garlic bread, which is good. I don't know. I've never actually had melon bread. It might be delicious.
Sam?
I've often been surprised by really
Sully?
tasty baked goods. Like
Yep.
pineapple pie is actually really tasty.
Huh.
Yeah, exactly. It sounds like it would be terrible, but
Yeah.
it was actually pretty good. Like weirdly good. Anyway, you've inspired me to make tea. Yes, focaccia bread is great. Garlic bread is also great. Now everyone's just giving us different bread options, and I
Nice.
appreciate it, but I'm running out of flour from the stupid amount of bread I've made.
Oh, yeah.
Ugh. Bread, 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 bread.
It's just
Where
all
am I
bread.
going? I mean, the level design is leading me somewhere, but I have no idea where the hell I'm supposed to be going.
Yeah. I feel like Uncharted is usually pretty good about gameplay story integration, but the problem is you are supposed to be a pretty, like, good master thief, and then sometimes stuff like this happens. And it's just like, maybe
you're
if I climb
going
this
to that
window,
ledge
I'll
on
find
the
a
right.
clue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
In Uncharted 2, there was a whole thing about the story where
All three?
where Zoran Lazarevich is like,
Can you
you
hear me?
killed so many
Just
people,
about
Nathan
power.
Drake. What the hell is
Either
wrong
soon.
with you? So in
Yeah.
Uncharted 3, if you kill enough bad guys, you get a trophy called ludonarrative dissonance, which
Oh.
was a term invented to describe the phenomenon of like where the narrative says that you are doing one thing, but the gameplay says that you're doing something else. So in the narrative, Nathan Drake is like this super like amazing like good person, and it's like no, he is a mass murderer if you look at the numbers.
Well, it can be if you don't play the peaceful route.
Yeah, so the game ended up creating a whole like discussion within the field of how you balance gameplay and narrative. It was fun.
Yeah.
Who is Bread Girl? I don't know what you mean.
Yeah. It's the difficulty with
You're
any
asking who you
story-driven
are.
game, because if it's a story-driven narrative, you know, it has a plot that you're expected to play out. But if it gives you enough freedom to actually be a game, you can kind of, you know, do things that disrupt that narrative
Yeah.
in ways, like Nathan Drake, Master Thief, running around climbing on random windows because he doesn't know where he's supposed to go.
Yeah.
Just like riding a bike.
It's like,
Several hundred
there are some
feet in the
stories that
air.
I feel like might be better served as just like shows, movies. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Uncharted, the series, would be awesome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
but,
I think they were working on a movie at some point.
ooh. I think
Last
part
of
the
Us is
reason-
going to be a show on HBO.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
But again, part of the reason people really like those games is because they do kind of feel like you're, you know, playing a movie.
Mhm.
And, you know, if you're playing it to break it, you can totally do that. But if you're playing it to be like, yeah, I'm Nathan Drake, I'm a badass, look at all this cool stuff I can do, you know, it gives you that experience. And I think there's a tricky balance to strike between, like, are we giving the player enough freedom, and are we keeping the main character in character at the same time?
Yeah.
But I think Uncharted mostly pulls it off.
Yeah. It's hard to balance that in gameplay. Uncharted does a good job. No,
I gotta
no.
get more tea.
Okay. I think I need to make this jump. I didn't make it last time. I'm just going to assume that was me being bad at the game.
Woo! Oh, heck.
No. Okay.
Can you climb up the ivy?
No.
Oh, this doesn't work on Zelda rules?
No, it's frustrating. You can't just climb anything that's green.
That's lame.
Eh.
Me.
Heck.
Heck.
Alright, let's try this one more
You
time.
also can't jump too high in this game, can
No,
you?
Drake has wimpy hops.
What are those? What are you doing?
Sam and Sully are just like watching you from a nearby rooftop, like, is he okay?
Wait, wee! Boink.
Sully's like, don't worry about it, kid. He does this all the time. Okay, do I have to
Sam's
go
like,
through there?
is he dumb? Can you go to your left? There looks like there's a handhold there.
That just takes me to where I was before. before.
Oh, heck. It looks like you might be able to climb up, but you can't.
My favorite part about this part of the game is if you drop down 10 feet, you'll hit the kill floor and die.
Yep.
Yep. It's like, no, sorry.
Oh, over there,
floor's
there's
lava.
tiny stuff.
No, don't touch.
Yeah, so then, yeah, see? You can climb that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah! Neat,
Then I
neat,
can't
neat.
climb this.
Well, but maybe on the other side you can?
Yeah, well, this is where I was earlier.
Well,
This little roof area.
heck.
And I can't climb up that, and I can't climb up that. And I've jumped on that platform a few times already. And this is to my
Can you use
death.
your little swingy thing? No.
Engaging gameplay. Courtesy of Red and Blue and Cyan.
Hello.
Hey, don't pin this on me, man.
Yeah. To be fair, you're the only one playing the game. Not that I'd be doing any better, because I have no idea where we've even been, and I've been watching the game. Climb a flower pot. Whoop. Oh, hey, nice.
Yeah, this is where I keep getting to and then missing the jump.
Now can you throw something?
No, I don't have the cord. Only Sam has it. Yeah, I know. Huh.
Where do you need to get to?
Well, that part is like metal beamed off, so I can't get over that. I need to get up to the tower over there. And I
So,
feel
like, you need to climb up that thing,
yeah, I feel
climb,
like I've
jump.
got to just make this jump.
You do. Maybe you just need to...
There we
Oh, hey.
go.
Hey!
Decided
you just
to
had
work.
believe in yourself.
Yeah.
If you just believe.
I just had to try it 3 times and embarrass myself, and then the game would deign to let me
Third time's the charm.
proceed.
Yeah, it's the narrative thing. Rule of 3.
Yeah.
Swing and... Nope.
No, we're good. It's a cutscene. That means we're safe.
Nice work, Drake.
Ah.
Idiot.
I can't believe you got away
Drake
with
just comes crashing through the ceiling behind them.
No, we had our liberty taken away for a month.
that. And what about the horse?
Oh, sorry.
Fortunately,
Nadine
we
is
had a
so
lot of
ripped,
carrots
and it's
on
really
board.
distracting me.
What about the horse?
I can't look directly at her.
Recognize someone.
No. I thought I did, but no.
But when am I finally going to meet that partner of yours? Drake?
That
Drake.
was ex-partner. Yeah, I've been flying solo for a while now. Drake's
Yeah.
out.
I can't
Yeah, no Drake.
falling off buildings like some kind of idiot, so we're no longer partner. Definitely not doing a
More
heist
like
together.
retired.
It's all me,
Settle
baby.
down, get married.
All me.
Well, then he might as well be.
The way that Troy Baker and Nolan North characterize Sully on their streams of just like the most gross, cranky old man is exceedingly hilarious.
Yeah.
12.
15.
Oh yeah, this asshole. Oh, Rafe.
Here we are.
Love it.
Yeah.
Over dead people's
I like how they made the bad guy
That's
of
his
this
name,
game.
Rafe.
Basically, he's.
Yeah.
You running your parents' business?
my business.
But yeah, I love how the bad guy of this game is
But yes, that
basically
is my day
just
job.
like the Drakes, but he's like in it for profit and he's
Yeah.
more of a dick.
Proud to buy up everything on the block tonight.
Well, sure.
Private school Nathan Drake.
Yeah, it's
days
like
I'm
how
only
the
looking
bad
for
guy in Indiana Jones is
good
always
stuff.
like, oh, a private collector in a fancy suit, not like a rough and tumble down to earth guy in a vest
Yeah.
and a hat.
And like, come on, what kind of tuxedo is that? Tan with black lapel? No, buddy, no. You can't.
Between you and me, I
There are
did
like
notice that
3
you still
colors you
there.
can put on a tuxedo: black,
Somebody
dark
might
blue,
be
and
trying to
burgundy
work
if you can
something.
really rock it. But no,
Well,
no,
remember,
Rafe, that tux is not for you, buddy.
playing fair.
I think,
Which is
oh,
why
man.
you really need someone.
For some reason, in
watching
all of
your
these,
back
like,
in a
we're
place
getting
like
historical
this.
artifacts, heist stories, you know, Indy, Lara Croft, this. The bad
Well,
guy
I
is
do hate
always,
to break
like,
it to you.
doing the exact same
You are
thing,
working for
but
an
for
American.
very disreputable reasons.
We've picked up on this one.
Private collections instead of
See.
museums. Except maybe museums
Talk
aren't
about power
okay
couple.
anymore, so private collections instead of giving them back to their native cultures or whatever we're doing now. Or
I know when I'm a third wheel.
the ethics of
Two kids had fun
artifact
tonight.
acquisition has always been a little bit dicey, which is probably why they go out of their way to make the main characters as likable as possible and the villains as like
that,
sleazy as possible for reasons unrelated to their
Nadine, I think
profession.
your partner
Yeah.
here has had too many Bloody Marys.
Cut the bullshit.
Ooh, here we go. Drama.
Scam your way in here.
No, I mean,
Putting
no, you're
your
totally
finger
right. There's
hitting on Avery's
there are
cross.
all kinds of questions with
Right.
that bell is the sound of our cat Cleo coming to join us. Hello. Oh no, she's just run
Cleopatra!
away.
Oh, Cleo.
Oh!
Come here.
You get
Cleo flees the scene.
Cleo, Cleo.
Oh, that looks like a meme format. I'm sorry, Nadine looking directly into the camera while these two fuckboys like yell at each other in the background as she sips her drink.
Someone put that on the subreddit or the Discord.
I believe in you people.
The memes on the subreddit have been amazing lately. Oh my gosh,
Yes.
they are few but of high quality.
Were you just sad because you weren't getting any pets?
Well, she ran under the bed on her own accord.
She didn't run under the bed. She went to the kitchen.
Ah, I was talking about earlier, but fair.
Hi, Jamaican.
God, why did I pick the power
Oh
room?
no, I'm stuck. Aha!
I will now be distracted for the rest of the stream by the cat.
Cyan has checked out.
I'm sorry, Red.
We'll have to do a reading stream, but it's
telepathically-
just like cat content.
We'll have to do it really in the morning though, because that's the only time she decides to like yell at us. Well, that's the thing. So, if we don't keep the exact same schedule, she will meow until we do. Which means I often wind up sleeping on the couch because she has decided it is morning. And usually when she wakes us up at a reasonable hour, I go sit on the couch after I feed her. But if it's, say, 4:30 in the morning and I try to go back to bed, she will just meow until I go sit on the couch.
I have heard that cats are excellent at instilling routine in people because cats love routine and hate chaos. So.
Exactly. So she'll just like go meow, meow.
Yep.
And I'll be like, what do you want? Can I please sleep? And she's like, no. Then I wind up sleeping on the couch for 2 hours.
Before we go inside, let's just appreciate that view.
Wow.
Shiny.
Ooh, skybox.
There are a couple places in Italy that obviously look very much like this. Yeah, that looks like it could be the rest of Cinque Terre. But there's a town in the southeast in Puglia, the name of which I've entirely forgotten, but oh, it's pretty. Honestly, all those towns in southern Italy, like Bari, Lecce, Matera, a couple other ones, are just old and pretty, and no one's really like done anything to mess them up in the past like 200-300 years. So they're just as nice as the Spanish left them when they were running in all that New World cash. So it's just so pretty. Yeah, anyway.
Amazing.
Kitty has gone to eat her food.
Aw.
Here we go.
I mean,
Now,
it's fair, but like,
where the hell are the
Fine.
circuit breakers?
those look like circuit breakers.
Yep.
Sam,
It looks
Sully,
like
you
Nathan
there?
Drake could just turn sideways and
Where the hell
smoke
you
bars.
been?
Yeah.
You made it.
I don't know why he's so butthurt about it. Look at that! That's cartoonish!
Yeah.
I know the camera's put in a
Well, I'm
separate
gonna
place.
need a minute before I can reach the panel.
We don't have a minute. Rafe's about to walk out of here with your cross.
Wait, what? Rafe? Rafe is here?
Yes.
Sorry, Sully, my enormous manly shoulders can't possibly fit through there.
I'll bid him.
Just turn sideways, Drake. I know what you look like.
Sully,
Oh
we're
no, I've
stealing,
gotten so
remember?
ripped in the last 5 minutes from all this climbing I've been doing.
Sully's like, cut the shit, Drake. Just go inside.
Turn off the lights.
Cross, I am as good as dead.
Yeah. Well, I end up
Or did
without
Sam
his
switch
bid,
out
we're
to a
all
different
dead.
tuxedo
Sully, I
jacket?
need
Well,
you
no,
to
he's
buy me
playing as a
hotel.
waiter, so he can get up close to the stage. Yeah, that's what he was talking about after he was oogling that waitress.
Ogling. I'm pretty sure it's not oogling.
Oh, is there? I've only ever read it. I've never heard it said. So.
Excuse me, babe. Do you mind if I oogle you for a minute?
110,000 euros in the room. For a penny and for a pound.
Sounds like the other verb from Stranger in a
Just
Strange
go
Land.
through
It's
the
grok and
bars.
oogle.
This is why you need to carry around a hand crossbow. Because if you can just shoot the circuit breakers.
Cyan, your pecha is showing.
I mean, what problems couldn't be solved by a hand crossbow?
Very few. Except for the
Yeah.
problems of where to store your hand crossbow.
Oh, that's right.
But the answer is you should always have your hand crossbow on you, so this shouldn't be a problem.
The one cool thing from Assassin's Creed Unity was the gauntlet that has a crossbow just on it. That was cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was the only thing that happened in that game.
You can also carry around your retractable crowbar.
Retractable crowbar?
Yeah. It's a crowbar, but it retracts.
Come on, Greg, get with it.
Oh, yeah, silly me.
It's just like a normal circuit
at the
breaker.
switch.
Like, that looks like
Ready?
the one in my
Well, that would
kitchen.
be, Victor.
Nah.
Just a sec.
The gentleman's bid, 190,000 euros.
500,000. Let's get the show on the road here.
Thank you. We have 500,000 euros in the room.
Nice.
Does the gentleman wish to bid again?
worried there for a minute, Victor. Thought I might have to kill you.
Okay. Let's ruin
Everyone
this
just
asshole's
casually
evening.
laughs at the man threatening murder in the middle of an auction.
Going once, we're going twice, and we're going lights
Then I
out.
shall sell it for 500,000. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain calm. The backup power will come on shortly.
Na-na-na-na.
Move it! Get out of the way! Stop him! Hey, stop that guy! Fermo! What are you doing? You letting him get away! You speak Spanish. What?
Grumpy man in a badly fitted tux. Grumpy man.
Woo!
This is the first time poor Rafe hasn't gotten exactly what he wanted all the time.
Oh, poor Rafe.
Victor, where's our getaway?
Truly the real victim of this story.
Just follow
Yeah.
the spotlights. I'll bring the car
I'm
around.
gonna go make more tea. Like I said, we have a problem.
No, we have a solution, and the solution is tea.
More cowbell!
That.
Am I supposed to jump that?
Frankly,
I guess I can. What?
It's lit up. I assume you're supposed to jump it.
Yeah. Oh, aha! Now we have gameplay.
Oh.
Game Maker's Toolkit, a wonderful channel that talks about all things game design, had a video on how the characters, or the NPCs in stealth games, see and hear. And a lot of it's vision cones, so in games with darkness, seeing someone's flashlight is the easy way to go about it, but audio is a lot trickier, so what they do is they have the, there we go, down you are, they have audio not just go through walls, but follow the movement pathing of how a player would walk through a space to show that, oh, if a thing has to go around a wall, it will dissipate faster than if it's just a straight line. So it's really cool tricks that game designers do to make vision and sound behave in a more or less realistic way. It's cool stuff.
Yeah.
Where am I supposed to go? Oh, down there. Cool.
Yeah. Uncharted is really fun, but where am I supposed to go is kind of the question.
Wait, don't shoot at me! I'm lost!
Don't shoot at me, I'm lost.
Help!
Nathan, what is going on?
I'm being shot at.
Alright. I have to steal someone's weapon.
I know.
Just have to steal someone's weapon, and we'll be fine.
You know what would have solved this problem? Hand crossbow.
Yeah. It's true. Ooh. One of the other things is that developers at Naughty Dog explained that Nate's health isn't actually health, it's luck. So none of these hit until his luck runs out, and then the last one that shoots him is the only time a bullet ever connects.
Oh.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
That's how they explain he doesn't die every time he gets shot.
exactly.
But he makes noises.
It's
And his screen goes all blurry. Okay, listen.
Well, you know,
it's
like-
a good explanation, but
You know when you stub your toe and it doesn't actually hurt, but the shock is what makes you say, ah! It's like that.
all right, Nolan, I'm gonna need 5 not getting shot by bullets but being in similar amounts of pain reaction noises from you.
Alright, see you soon.
Owie, oof, ow.
Oh man, oh, that was a close one. Ouch, my not body.
Up we go, up we go. Oh, thought that was a guard. It's just a lamp.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the cat.
Oh no.
What was that noise?
What was that noise? What was that noise?
It was your cat.
What was that noise? Yep. Such is the way of gameplay.
Must have been the wind.
Uh-oh. Where are we going? Drake, help me out here. This is where we... Oh, here we go.
Okay.
Now we are safe and nothing will ever go wrong.
No one got a good
Oh
look at me.
yeah,
Just gonna
this
play
definitely
cool.
doesn't look like a boss arena.
Stroll right on out of here.
What? No.
No, this door is probably. Oh, hello.
Scusi.
You're not supposed to be back here.
Well, neither are you. But it's like,
Hit him with a classic no you.
You have something I want, and you're going to give it to me.
really? Well, I'm flattered. Excuse me.
Drake.
And then hit her with the classic, that's what she said.
I'm not in the mood for games.
Truly only the finest banter
Give
from
me
the
the
finest
crucifix.
archaeologists of the age.
And now the best QuickTime event in all of gaming, where you choose your quip.
You'd what?
Also, the most realistic part of this game is where Nadine's like, and I don't need these shoes anymore to kick your ass.
Well, it's more like I shouldn't try and kick your ass in heels no matter how badass I am.
She was actually wearing flats,
Oh, never
but
mind.
still.
Feels better for stabbing.
But you can't get any stance in them, right?
Yeah, and flats are slippy, they often have
Nice
zero
try.
arch support.
I gave you that one.
A lot of martial arts training happens while barefoot, she's probably more comfortable in that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's really cool. You can tell the difference in the animation where Nadine is like, you know, clearly got all kinds of specific training with the moves that she's doing, like, you know, specific, you know, jiu-jitsu types of grapples, you know, heel kicks that are very involved techniques and, you know, things that you just not learn in the Nathan Drake school of punching bad guys. So it's neat to see the difference in their styles.
She also doesn't movement, basically. She's
No.
just kind of waiting for you to fling yourself at her, and then she just, like, takes you down.
Yeah, whereas
It's
Drake,
very good.
yeah, Drake relies on beefy arm diplomacy. Nadine's like, I can actually beat your ass.
Yep. This is a good case of, like,
Have you had
ludonarrative,
enough? Or do you want to keep being a
syncing up
smart
whatever,
ass?
Yeah.
or, you know,
Okay, come clean.
game and story good
You're no
and stuff.
chiropractor. Your technique is
Because
really not
you
helping
really
my
do
back.
feel like maybe if I swing really hard from the left, she won't.
Wait.
You know.
It's in my back pocket.
Where is it?
There.
Oh wow. You got one hit on her. Good job, Nathan.
One hit off of an incredibly dirty trick, and then you got thrown out of a window.
While
The
she was
defenestration
grabbing your
trick.
butt.
Ah,
Yeah,
just met your friend Nadine Ross.
that was part of Nathan's plan.
It's lovely.
Of course. Nathan was like, well, if he's gonna kick my ass, I may as well get a field cop down there.
Everybody's freaking out. I don't want to rush you, but hurry the hell up. Nathan, where you at?
Good question. You?
Later, he's gonna be like, Sam, let me tell you about this awesome lady who totally felt up my butt.
Good news is I
It's like,
got
Nathan, why are you bleeding? Oh, that was the rest of it, but the butt part was great.
Come on, uh-oh. Now this is where the game design of escalating tension comes into play. We've just been kind of spoofing around a pretty environment doing puzzle solving for a while, and then you get a ratcheting intensity, where we're still not really doing a whole lot from a gameplay perspective, just kind of running, jumping, and the occasional punching, but it's getting more intense. It culminates in a big old firefight.
Hello, I'm back. I brought tea.
Nice. What kind of tea did you make?
Wouldn't you like to know, Weather Boy?
I would. I'm gonna pour some right now. After I save my brother by committing murder.
No, you're just shooting them in the luck points, man. They're just unconscious. It's magical bullets that send them to the shadow realm.
Alright, don't mind me. I'm just gonna try to maneuver this teapot between 3 open laptops.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we have, you know, the stream laptop, the watching the stream laptop, the work laptop.
There we go. Alright, now we're here. Put the tea back. Don't spill anything like we've done on all those other streams. I have no idea what kind of tea this is.
It's the chocolate peppermint one.
Ah, yeah, that's a good one.
What? Yes. We have a lot of fancy tea.
Damn, no kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, go on, get down there. Yeah, get down there. Yeah. I've got to rewatch the Goose stream because that was so funny.
Victor, I'm kind of stuck here. Any ideas? Fastest way is through the ballroom. The ballroom's locked out. Yeah, well, now that they know it's you guys, they cleared the place out. That ballroom it is. You
I
get
feel
that
like
thing?
if this game gave you a way to take these people down that didn't involve shooting them in the
Holy
head,
shit.
there would be less dissonance between Nathan Drake, cool hero, and Nathan Drake, murderer for hire.
Yeah, there was one point in Uncharted 2 where you have a tranquilizer gun. But
Yeah.
that was just so that it was a gun you had to reload after every shot and they could justify it in gameplay. But it would be nice if there were, other options.
I think part part of the thing is Uncharted, it's not like Splinter Cell where you actually can just go through completely undetected. Like, Uncharted has major story beats where the point is, oops, you fell really loudly and now there's guys after you, and you actually do have to shoot them to continue.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's a little disingenuous to simultaneously be like, you must kill 7 out of 7 guards to progress, and Nathan Drake, you scumbag, I can't believe you've been murdering people. It's like, what? It's your game!
Don't put this on me!
Yeah, excuse you, a-hole. I'm not the one who designed this scenario.
Yeah. Again, that's what I love about Goose Game, is it's all the thrill of causing chaos, but none of the actual murder.
You know, it's not to harp on Splinter Cell again, because I haven't played that game in years, but
That's so good.
I really did like how you could actually just like hide in a corner, shoot out all the lights, and selectively sneak your way through without anyone ever finding out you were there.
That's like the ninja game you have.
Yeah, I was playing a little bit of Mark of the Ninja with Cyan recently. We actually finished it a while back, so... Oh wow, I tiptoed to death.
No more luck.
I fell slightly off the edge of a platform. You lose your luck points all at once. But Mark of the Ninja is a great example of... What?
Oh, that's probably from yesterday's stream.
I won't ask.
One of the protagonists of the book I read is named Carrot, and
of course.
he is a good boy, a very stalwart himbo, and the chat really loves him. So they were just spamming carrots nonstop. So that's probably what this is.
Yep.
Guys, he's not even in this game.
Speaking of himbos, Cyan and I were rewatching Brian David Gilbert's Unraveled How to Tell All the Fire Emblem Characters Apart, where he uses the example of the Italian Commedia dell'arte tradition of theater, where he's like, yeah, obviously the Commedia dell'arte, which everyone understands, so I don't need to explain it. And I'm like, I know this is a joke, but I do know what you're talking about, Brian.
Honestly, same. I was like, yeah, Brian, I'm good. And then he was like, but anyways, like, okay, well. Oh, they're saying the game audio's gotten a little bit loud, possibly because of all the
fix
bullets.
that.
Yep.
Well, no, just change it on the...
Oh, yeah.
On OBS, yeah.
Just do it in OBS.
Okay. Let's see if that's better.
Excuse me.
And if it's not, we can do some tweaks in the game to specifically make the bullets quieter while keeping like the music and the effects and everything else just as loud. Whoop-bah. Yeah, anyway, Mark of the Ninja, good example of a game where you can go through the whole thing without killing anybody.
It's actually one of the seals is usually to not kill someone.
Nice. And I really like how sometimes games will like be forgiving if you get spotted. Like if you choose to attack, then just more guys will show up. But if you like hide and really, really convince them you're not there, they'll be like, oh, that was weird. Then they'll just move on.
Wacky.
That was one of the pillars of design in this game, is the ability to get spotted but to lose them, so that you can have more dynamic encounters rather than just like, oh, you hit the trigger once, one guy sees you, the entire map knows exactly where you are, and all the reinforcements will come pouring in. That becomes more of an element later in the game, where it's not just you specifically have to fight your way out of somewhere, but like this, you go into and out of cover, so you have options to kind of return to stealth and build your way back up, so that you're not just like, oh, you make one mistake and then it's it's GG.
Except for it might be right now.
Yeah.
You might want to, yeah, there you go. Pick up some bullets.
Where'd they go? Let me at them. And come here. There we go. First try. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh, not the pillar. Actually, twisted pillars were a style in Baroque Italy, because they're extremely complicated to make. So obviously that makes them cooler. You see them all over the South and Rome, which were again flooded with Spanish money.
Woo, Spain.
Big F in the chat for Spain's economy.
Big F in the chat for everyone's economy right now.
Well, no, I mean like in 1500s.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, we're being specific. Gotcha.
You've seen those memes of like where the dinosaurs are hanging around, the meteor shows up, and it's like, oh no, the economy.
Yep. We must please the line.
Smash.
Now this is how you do a gameplay transition.
Oh hey, somebody tagged us in a video on how to make a hand crossbow.
Oh,
Hey,
hell
thank you.
yeah.
Thank you, Twitter follower Drucifer. I will look this up later.
Oh no, the statue!
No!
Bastards.
Oh, you did say it was gonna be broken.
Oh
Yeah.
god, we lost the ice statue. Oh man, I forgot about that.
It's okay, there's one more over there. It'll be safe.
Oh, okay. Because we lost the footage that one time.
Yep.
The unrelenting tragedy of, oh wow, what a nice ice sculpture, and then somebody fucking shoots it.
You do see our reactions though, which are pretty great.
That's true.
Ooh, big fancier gun.
Yeah, Troy Baker always says go for the shotgun, so I'm following your footsteps, Troy.
Nathan Drake, you monster, how could you be killing all these people? Anyway, here's 20 more dudes who cannot progress in this machine.
And 17 more guns.
Hell yeah.
I can't tell where the bad guys are because this room is so dark.
You know what this game could probably use? A mini-map?
I
mean, maybe.
I feel like it gets to the problem where minimaps force all of your attention onto the corner of the screen. So like in the original Metal Gear Solid, they had, you know, they had the vision cones of, oh, I'm gonna die, of like where the bad guys are and where they can see, but it was on the minimap, whereas the regular game was just, you know, bad guys and you know, the world, but all the players all looked at the minimap instead because it had more information. So instead of actually seeing the world in front of them with all these like fancy 3D graphics, they were just looking at the map the whole time. So minimaps can be useful, but it's difficult to stop the players from just looking at that. So games like Skyrim do the compass, which, you know, the newer Assassin's Creed games have tweaked onto. The Witcher, I think, still has a minimap. But the compass is better because it's less to look at and it just tells you what's in what direction rather than giving you a mini lay of the world. But minimaps are useful, but they're too often used as a crutch by the designers and by the players. It's tricky to do them in a way that balances everything. Oop, Sam, I almost shot you.
I don't think it would have hurt him. He's got that Drake luck armor.
Make that the new unit of hit points in D&D, luck.
There are some games that have like a luck pool that you can spend to make things work. I think in Shadowrun, it's karma, which you accrue by doing cool things, and then you can spend it to make things work, like re-roll stuff that didn't work out. It actually makes it a little easier to kind of sync up the gameplay and the story, because that way it's like, I am a cool, awesome acrobat, and I rolled a nat 1 doing this flip. But fortunately, because I'm such a cool, awesome acrobat, I can spend a little karma to make sure that I succeed at least a little bit.
That's cool.
Yeah. But then if you expend it all, I think it has a system where you can go into like karma debt, like you can spend some karma you don't have.
I died.
But it's really bad for you. It gives you like penalties on everything.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Systems that allow players to make choices is the pinnacle of, or the pillar of good game design.
Yep.
That's why Doom is so good, because you're always juggling so many things going on at once. It's not just like, oh, get in cover, shoot the guys, and like, this is a fun game, don't get me wrong, but the action is not especially complex because it's fairly straightforward of just like, oh, you get behind a safe space, and then you shoot at people until you are no longer able to shoot at people from your space, then you find another space that you can get behind. Yeah, reloading is fast. The big thing is that you strafe as fast as you walk, so you're encouraged to always stay moving and basically just orbit around bad guys like a violent satellite. Now where's the bad guy? I cannot see with your dumb head in my way, Sam. Uh-oh.
Oh, hey. 2,300 concurrent viewers.
Woo!
All watching you shoot these dudes.
Ooh. Alright. Oh, I died again. Damn it.
Oh no, my luck ran out. I'm in the Shadow Realm.
Oh no.
Drake gets shot
My
just
luck!
in the heel. everything goes wrong. We talked about this before, but the Iliad is a lot more interesting if Achilles has a healing factor rather than invulnerability.
The Iliad, it's interesting because, you know, obviously it got written down, but it existed before that. And there's certain parts where it's like, hold on, those don't fit together. Like, if Achilles is indestructible, why does he wait for the gods to make him armor?
Yeah.
And if Achilles is indestructible, or even like 98% indestructible, why is his mom like so hell-bent on him not fighting?
Yeah.
And you know, you can explain that with like, oh, well, there's still the prophecy that he'll die young, and she's, you know, genre savvy enough to know that it's Greek mythology, you can't really actually defy prophecy. But you know, there's little bits where it's like, okay, well, was the invulnerability added? Is it one of those things that was used as flavor text, like, oh, he's the invincible Achilles, and then the next guy who got the story was like, oh yes, and Achilles was invincible, and then someone was like, oh well, I gotta explain why he's invincible. There was this thing where she, you know, put him in like a little wire fryer basket and dumped him in the sticks, and
make sure to get even coding when you fry your Greek heroes.
Yeah, but then it's like, well, but he still dies. How do we explain that? Weak point. He had a weak point. So, you know, it's like, you never know what's lost in translation, what's added in translation, what gets retroactively added by writers who try and make things make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was, I posted a Venn diagram on Twitter a couple nights ago.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's like, listen, they're all offshoots of the same Proto-Indo-European culture, and they all have very similar shining ultimate heroes, and, well, how much gets added, and what was the original like, and what traits did they have, and what source myths? Oops, plot is happening, sorry.
No, it's okay, we can keep talking over this, because it's just, like, if people want to watch it for the plot, they can watch it for the plot. Red, continue.
Oh, yeah,
Don't go to hell for this.
It's not the killing, it's the smashing of the cross that'll do you in.
Yeah. But yeah, it's, I don't know, there's all kinds of things. Comparative mythology really is basically just making these big Venn diagrams and being like, which of these, you know, sometimes you get stories that develop in parallel, sometimes things pop up, but sometimes it's like, okay, the entire structure is the same. So, they have to be based on the same thing. Like, the part where the ultimate shining paragon hero spends a few years dressed like a girl as a princess in someone else's court. Like, that actually shows up a lot. And even in the case of Cuchulainn, who doesn't have that story, they do go on a lot about how he's beardless and young because, you know, there was that curse that only affected older people, older men specifically. So it's like, okay. So comparative mythology scholars are like, basically just spend all their time being like, okay, well, what are the parallels? What probably developed from this? It's, I don't want to go off on a tangent, but when I was in my dinosaur science class, I promise this is directly relevant, we spent a lot of time, like, taking these dinosaurs and arranging them in cladograms with the knowledge that we couldn't get it 100% right, because it's like, well, these ones have these traits in common, but sometimes these traits developed again, and these ones have, like, this core trait in common, like, these ones have the same pelvic layout, which doesn't tend to change very fast, but they're like 3,000 years apart, or sorry, way longer than that. So when you're tracking the evolution of myths, it kind of goes the same way. It's like, well, these ones have these core traits in common, but maybe they developed in parallel. Maybe these ones split off from the same thing. Maybe they actually took this story wholesale and imported it to their culture. Maybe they did this other thing. There's all kinds of things, and there's no clear answers, but there's a lot of really interesting stuff. I've been looking up flood myths. I was telling Blue about this yesterday.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is there are a lot of flood myths, and before anyone goes all goofy in the comments, we are basically 100% sure that there was never a time where the whole world flooded. There's not enough water for that, and we would have a very weird-looking fossil record if that had happened.
Yeah.
But most civilizations at that point formed in river valleys, which flood a lot. So,
it'll do the trick.
Right, but there are like 5 or 6 myths of great floods that have the exact same format, which is virtuous person, often a king, sometimes not, is informed by whatever the biggest god of their society is to build an ark, put their family and some important cultural figures on that boat. Like in the Hindu version, it's the 7 sages. In some of the others, it's like also take your craftsmen because you'll need their skills. Take all the animals, take some plants sometimes, get on the boat, they get on the boat.
Take this dank hash.
Yeah. You'll need something when the world is flooded. the floods come, they land on a mountain. It's always a mountain. Which mountain it is varies region to region. It's Mount Parnassus in the Greek version. It's oh man, I don't remember. But it's always a mountain. They land there. Sometimes they send out a bird to survey the land to see if there's a place for them to live now, and then they go there, and then they become the new progenitor of humanity.
Yeah.
Or in the Norse version, this all happens with a Jotun. It's not a flood of water, it's a flood of blood from when Ymir is killed by Odin and his siblings. And this Jotun and his wife like survive in a like wooden vessel of some kind, and they wash up on a mountain, and then they produce a new race of Jotuns, and that's all the Jotuns that are there in Norse mythology. And that's interesting. That's like thematically tied in, and some of them like it's basically 100% confirmed that the myth of Noah was pretty much the biblical story of Noah was taken pretty much wholesale from the myth of Utnapishtim, the Babylonian flood survivor, down to the measurements of the boat.
Yeah.
Like, that's the real kicker, because that was based on Babylonian numerology, which they didn't really do in the rest of the Bible, but they were like, and it was exactly these measurements, just like that Utnapishtim guy. What a coincidence.
Yeah.
So general consensus is that story was taken wholesale, but the others, like, there's not as much of a clear connection. But also, those aren't the only flood stories around. Like, oh man, the Chinese flood story that I sent you yesterday.
Yeah.
That one's a weird one because it's, first of all, historically confirmed to have probably happened. Like, there's records, there's like geo records in the area that the Yellow River flooded like crazy. And everything, and there's like remains of dams and stuff. And basically the story is there was this horrible flood, but it didn't kill everyone. They were like, shit, what do we do? Okay, let's build up some dams, let's dig some canals, let's all work together. And when the flood waters finally receded, they were so good at working together that they founded the first historical / mytho-historical dynasty of China, the Xia dynasty. So this flood is another civilization origin, but it doesn't involve a progenitor of humanity.
Yeah.
Which makes it seem like it's probably not from the same source myth as a lot of the other ones. And then there's all the creation myths that involve primeval waters and all that jazz.
Yeah.
I've been going on about this for way too long. My apologies, but...
No, we're good. Real quick thing about the game. I had earlier said St. Dismas and St. Avery. I got that wrong. The Impenitent Thief is named in apocryphal writings that came later, but he doesn't actually have a name in the Bible stories. I guess Dismas is also apocryphal? Okay.
It's just later.
Yeah, but Henry Avery is a famous kind of piratey guy who in this game founded a pirate colony of Libertalia, which we'll end up seeing later. But I'd messed up a little bit of the world building. The one cool thing in that scene is that in the conversation between Drake, Sam, and Sully, each of them says one thing that is accurate about the other characters and one thing that is inaccurate. So you can see where each of the other characters is coming from and how that'll end up being various people's downfall later on. And then, of course, there's Drake lying to Elena instead of telling her about it, because she would be chill with it. She's done this rigmarole with Nate before, but he insists on protecting himself by way of not telling her. And then all kinds of problems come out from that, because communication's important. Don't lie to people. Anyway, yeah, that was just a quick little game recap for what's going on. This game has a really good story. It is quite good. I think we got to go over there. Now we're in Scotland. Yeah. Cool.
But anyway, yeah, comparative mythology is really cool. It is a bit of a rabbit hole, and you always really need to make sure that you're not, with any kind of conspiracy theory type thing. You always got to make sure that you're not, going down a rabbit hole and drawing connections where there aren't any. Because,
yeah.
You really want there to be one big picture, and most of the time that's not really how people work.
Yeah. You can pull on threads to see where similar ideas got started, but, just because two different gods share a couple syllables in their name doesn't make them have the same origin.
Yep. And just because, some places flooded and wrote stories about it, doesn't mean the entire world flooded.
Yeah.
Because
Getting dead.
Yeah.
we'd know.
Because, just within America, we've had floods in the past, 10 years that each could justifiably qualify as a local flood myth.
Yep.
So it's not like the whole world needs to flood. Just the big city needs to get hit, and you're gonna have material for a flood myth.
Also, how many stories took place well before there was even a concept of the greater world,
Yeah.
And your city dies, and you're, the only person around. then as far as you're concerned, the world has ended and you're the new progenitor of humanity.
Yep.
You know, it's a very common theme, but also this is the thing. Like, people notice that there's this one specific. Hang on, I took notes. I can't remember the guy's name, ironically. Deucalion, son of Prometheus.
Cool.
He's the Greek flood myth survivor, and his wife is named Hera. And that actually has a unique part of it. The Greek myth has a version that I haven't seen in any other versions, where they're the only survivors. They're like, what do we do? And they get advice from a god who tells them, throw the bones of your mother over your shoulders. And Pyrrha is like, I can't desecrate my mother's corpse like that. But Deucalion is like, oh no, they're being metaphorical. They mean the bones of Gaia. And they take these stones and throw them over their shoulders, and Pyrrha's stone turns into a woman, Deucalion's stone turns into a man, and those guys go off and become the new progenitors of humanity or something.
Gotcha. Neat.
But, you know, there is a theme in Greek mythology of, like, stones and teeth and, like, weird things growing into people when you plant them. So that's an interesting thing that I don't really see elsewhere. But, you know, that's one specific flood archetype, but it's not the only one. And a lot of the people who do the comparative mythology thing are like, the archetypical flood myth. And it's like, no, I mean, not really. There's a lot of other flood myths. People have a lot of stories about the world drowning and coming back.
Yeah.
Oh, man. There's the Ojibwe version is actually really interesting. I looked it up and I was like, this is familiar. And I remembered somebody told it to me in first grade. But there's an Ojibwe culture hero, a lot of different names, mostly known as Nanabuzu. He's responsible for a lot of things. He named all the animals. He came up with hieroglyphs, stuff like that. But he also survives a great flood. He's drifting around on a log for a while. He and all the animals are like taking turns resting on it. And he's like, okay, listen, I can build us a new island, but I need dirt, and it's all at the bottom of this ocean. So I'm going to try and swim down and retrieve some. And he can't quite make it, and a lot of other animals try, and they can't quite make it. And eventually one of them makes it down, but does die in the process, but comes back with a little bit of dirt. And he revives the animal, and he uses the dirt. Oh no, we're good, sorry. But he uses it to, like, build a new island on the back of a snapping turtle that volunteers its shell for that purpose. And, you know, that's pretty unique. That's not really like a lot of the other flood myths. And I think that there's this theme of, like, trying to trying to make it so that there's only one story. You know, it's the monomyth thing again. And it's like,
yeah,
it's more interesting to acknowledge that there are a lot of stories, and sometimes there are parallels, and sometimes there's common ancestors, but sometimes there's just themes. I mean, humans, you know, we need water to live. We form our civilizations near sources of fresh water.
Yeah.
It makes sense that we'd always be vulnerable to flooding, and, you know, all that. And the number of creation myths that involve primordial oceans, I mean, I haven't looked it up in a while, but I think the Egyptian creation myth starts with a primordial ocean. It's just kind of how it works, and I think whenever you're doing the comparative mythology circuit, you know, there are definitely connections. A lot of these cultures are descended from each other or share common ancestors, and they share traits in common just like a biological cladogram. But you also got to recognize that sometimes things are not categorizable on the charts you already have.
Yeah, and that's the thing with what we tried to explain about, oh, bad guy showed up, about the hero's journey in the video, that the trope talk that we did on it was like, look, this is a lot more useful if you take it as a lens by which to analyze stories rather than a template for how to write them. You know, if you try to write everything according to a format, you're going to have, you know, a story with, you know, a fairly, a fairly straightforward premise, and then, you know, nothing else happening that makes it worth telling. So it's a similar example of, like, recognize crossover where you can, and, you know, recognize that themes are going to be, you know, more or less applicable to different groups of people, but don't pretend like you can put every story ever written into a box and then just go on as if, oh god, it's really hard to be, like, smart when you're trying to not die. Fuck. I feel like I made my point well enough.
yeah, we got it. Yeah, it's all very interesting. This is probably one of my favorite fields because, you know, just like tracking evolutionary biology, you know, it's like, wow, this trait is very rare or unique, and it shows up in these two places. Is there a connection? And it's often in the fine details where you can be like, wait a minute, these stories those are familiar. I was in a folklore class a while ago that was talking about this, and they mentioned these like two different folktales that structurally were quite different. They both involved one trait though, which was like these magical golden children being born from these like pearls that were presented to the main character on a plate. Like the rest of the story played out differently, but that part was the same. And it's like, that's a very, very weirdly specific detail. Was that just like a cultural in-joke, or was this story split off from the other one? All kinds of interesting stuff. Alright. Don't spam too many carrots in the chat, guys.
It's just been carrots, like, non-stop.
Carrots all the way down.
And all the way up.
Come on. I'm gonna start putting people in timeout.
Yeah.
Ooh, you don't want to get timeout, Carrot.
Alright.
You're gonna probably die again.
I feel like now that, Red, you've gone on a very in-depth explanation of something, I feel like I should have something to contribute, but I don't.
Oh.
So, Blue, tell us about these rocks here.
So you see, rocks are a solid substance, one of the 3 forms of matter, 4 if you include plasma.
No, the history of rocks.
History of rocks. Well, rocks started off...
Science is my job.
Well, the pioneers used to ride these babies for miles. First thing you gotta know. Yeah, that's where the story ends.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm a
That's all
bad
you really need to know.
improviser.
So the pioneers used to ride these babies for miles because, you see, they were trying to settle, and the rocks were sedimentary, so they figured it would help. Yes.
These are the universal laws of nature, and no one shall argue with them.
The universal law of nature is puns. If you're not just building your life around puns, then really what are you doing?
And you sent me that meme where it was like, you know, PhD students nowadays like, hey, this is this, you know, very specific piece of analysis that I've worked on for 2 years. It's in a narrow field, but I tried my best and I really hope you like it. And then it's like philosophers in the 1700s. Here are some thoughts that I had in the bath. They constitute the universal laws of God and man, and they shall not be questioned.
Ugh, fucking philosophers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I zoned out for the entire 3-month interval that I had a class on them. It might not even have been 3 months. It might have been a year.
Yeah. The reason that Plato is good is because Plato structures his philosophy almost like a play, because it's a dialogue with characters that express different viewpoints, so it's not just like, oh, here's this guy mansplaining, you know, the laws of humanity to me for 50 pages. Descartes, Hume, Locke, Rousseau.
The only philosophy class I ever took was online during the summer while working. So, yeah, totally. I totally remember all these people that you're talking about right now.
Yeah,
Here.
mine was a requirement of some kind with the core curriculum. So I was just stuck in a class with a bunch of other really bored, quiet people listening to a bunch of old dead guys be like, in my opinion, all of existence is about this one thing that I'm really into. And I was like,
all of existence is about the color blue. Because I like the color blue.
Personally, I think universal truth that everyone has issues with their mothers. This is probably a problem with women and not me.
Yeah, Freud is hard to read. My mom, who is a therapist, has read Freud and all the other ones and is very well versed in this, and she's watching now. Hi, Mom. But we kind of commiserated on, you know, where are the places where Freud went a little bit too far? Like, was he onto something? Yes, every time Freud started, he was onto something. He just took it way too far. Like, yeah, you know,
are you
like,
supposed to just jump and grab his hand?
Yes. It's like, oh, you know, when kids are children, like, the events that happen to them become formative in their later years. Like, that's super important. That's what, like, all of psychology is based on. But you don't need to make it all, like, Oedipus-like, you know? That's where it can end.
Oedipus, who literally killed himself for sleeping with his mother. You call it a what now?
Okay, I don't know how legit this is, but I have read that Freud actually came to some pretty legit conclusions early on, and then was kind of, like, pressured to come to more acceptable conclusions. Because he was like, wow, it seems like all of the women I talk to in this Victorian hellscape we live in are, like, really, really kind of angry all the time, and just, like, repressed and miserable, and they feel like they can't just be.
Clearly that's not a problem with us, right?
Well, that's the thing. It's possible that he was like, I mean, they kind of aren't allowed to live like people, but then, you know, he looks at all the people who are, like, funding him, tapping their wallets suggestively, and he's like, they're probably just jealous of you guys having dicks. That's probably it. there probably is nothing we
Catch.
can do for them.
Bat.
And it's just like if that's true, you know, I don't know, because I'm not inclined to be nice to Freud for a lot of reasons, but he clearly did think a lot of stuff through, and the fact that he came to socially acceptable conclusions at the time, which was like, oh, those women probably just really want to be and or bone you or your dad. It's just kind of like, that was more acceptable than maybe we're the assholes? Maybe they're all miserable because we keep them inside and stick them in corsets so they can't breathe, and then we tell them they're genetically inferior because they can't exercise, and maybe
corsets actually very breathable. There are a lot of YouTube channels that specifically go into detail on like why, you know, a proper fitting corset was completely comfortable.
Oh, well, okay. Listen,
Cyan,
I have worn a
you can
corset
say more.
before.
I don't need to say much more. Pretty much, corsets have like this really bad rep for being really uncomfortable, because modern day, like when you would wear a corset for a movie costume, people are like, oh, why are they so uncomfortable? But they were just pretty much supportive garments, and generally a lot better than like modern day bras for support. However,
well, yeah.
some people who did not have anything that they had to do with their lives would tight lace their corset really tightly. But the reason it looks like their waist is so much smaller in their hips is they pad out their hips, and there's a whole bunch of things. Go look up some historical fashion YouTubers if you want to know more.
Morgan Donner, Carolina Zabrova, Bernadette Banner.
Any of those guys. They're all really cool. Check them out.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
I remember reading about, like, you know, the fashion trends for the really tiny waist that led to corsets becoming way more, like, restrictive. But...
Yeah. But, I mean, up until that point, I mean, if you were, you know, a domestic worker, you still would wear a corset because that was what you had as a support garment. But you wouldn't wear it as tightly laced because you still needed to be able to bend over and live your life. So for the most part, they weren't, like, painful. It was just that there were some people who, you know, took fashion to the nth degree and wore really tightly laced corsets that you couldn't breathe.
It's the equivalent of those skinny jeans that give you nerve damage.
Exactly, yeah.
It's like, just because you see someone wearing something on a runway in Paris doesn't mean that actual people are gonna wear that in their day-to-day lives.
Jeans aren't the problem. Those jeans are the problem. But yeah.
Okay,
it's a really cool thing. Historical fashion is really neat because we don't always have the most accurate representation of it nowadays.
But yeah, doubling back to Freud, I'm not familiar with the school of thought of like, oh, you know, he was actually onto stuff and then he took it weird. But if you read his books, you'll actually see in the very beginning, it's like, here are some very straightforward conclusions to like start with, or I guess some starting observations that make a lot of sense and you can use productively in various fields of analysis. And then by the end, it's like, which is why you have to hate your neighbor. It's like, no! What are you doing?
Yeah, that happens a lot. A lot of philosophers start off from, like, fairly respectable observations of reality where it's like, yeah, no, those are just, that's true. And then they kind of spiral off into their own head, and it's like, oh, there's your problem. You're universalizing your experiences. I've seen this before.
A couple people were asking if we could make a list of the YouTubers we mentioned. Either I can tweet that or I can give it to you and you can tweet it.
Yeah, I can tweet it later on.
It will be
stay
on the
tuned
Twitter
for a tweet.
later.
We're gonna tweet that and maybe some more cat pictures.
And also, yes, to the person who asked, we did mention Meme Mom. Meme Mom is the best.
Carolina Zabrova.
She is wonderful. Everyone needs a Polish Meme Mom in their life.
She did one which was recreating vines in authentic 16th century Elizabethan dress.
Oh, it's that lady!
Yeah, that's Carolina Zabrova.
Great.
She's lovely.
Oh, I've seen her around.
Yeah. Bernadette Banner does a lot of, like, hand-sewn historical reproductions. She's really cool. Morgan Donner does a lot more medieval stuff.
She has a couple Venetian-style dresses, which are really, really cool.
Naturally, those are Blue's favorite. There's also Angela Clayton does a little more, like, 1800s stuff. She's really cool. She has some sewing patterns, which is just really, I think that's really neat. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of great stuff on Crafts YouTube.
Yep.
If you ever get bored with history and literature YouTube, check out Crafts YouTube.
Oh man, tomorrow the video is going to be History of England, and I say in the video,
spoilers.
Like, stories like this are why history has a bad rap.
English history, listen.
It's hard.
I've mentioned this, and I'm not going to spoil, you know, what you talk about in the video, but I'm of the opinion that English history seems so stupid and boring because it's basically England writing their autobiography. Because, you know, for a while, the field of historians as we know it kind of got started with bored English armchair archaeologists and stuff, armchair historians, which basically means for every other culture in the world, they were like, and lo, here was the coolest king or queen who we can loop into our own personal glory, and then this thing happened, and this guy was alive, and then we showed up, and wasn't that cool? But then for English history, they're like, no, it's vitally important to understand us perfectly. So here is every single king who ever lived.
Yeah.
And you have to know all of them in chronological order, and which ones were boning their own cousins.
Yeah, and what I talk about in the next video after this, which, more spoilers, is a history makers on Shakespeare, is that with Shakespeare, it's really cool because he presents it as a narrative where you see the actions of characters unfolding in the course of a play. So it's, it's a historical account filtered through a very dramatic and engaging medium, whereas with the rest of English history, they're like, oh, doing really deep dives on the history of all these kings is what's good. And it's like, no, because that doesn't translate into book form where you have to just make someone stare at it forever. So there's a difference between, Shakespeare writing the history of some kings and, Joe Longbottom, who's trying to write this totalizing account of all of, English history.
What is that?
It's our...
It looks like a dragon from the Dragon Rush.
So, there's a difference between the way that Shakespeare chose to weave an account and what everybody focused on characters and pathos and drama, whereas everyone else took the lesson of, focus really in depth on specific details that ultimately don't matter in the grand scheme of things. Gotcha. It's like, no!
I still think that a lot of it was... I mean, listen, if you sit down to write your autobiography, you're gonna start with, like, it all began when I was 4 years old. My teachers called me a gifted child. And then it's, like, way too much detail, because it's all important to you, of course. But...
no one else cares.
Right, and it's not the same level of detail or respect you would give to if someone else you were writing the biography of, where it's like, well, the first important thing they did was at age 37 when they blah, 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 blah.
Exactly.
Whereas with you, it's like, no, it's vitally important you know how this childhood bullying incident affected my psyche for the rest of my day. It's like, listen, I don't fucking care about the Normans or the Gauls or whatever you were up to. Tell me when you started being important, England.
Yeah.
So.
Unfortunately, England started being important in the War of the Roses, which is, bad.
Yeah, but with any other society, they'd be like, oh yeah, there was a big old schism, some kings went to war, they ended up merging their families, and it fixed everything. That's the amount of detail we would get if it was any culture that wasn't England, but they're like, no, it's very important, the Lancasters versus the,
Yorks,
not the Tudors. Yeah, I knew that.
Someone just described it as the online recipe problem, and yes, that's exactly what
this is.
That's exactly
brilliant.
Brilliant.
Thank you. I think I lost them in the stream of carrots. Oh no, rock trout. Thank you, rock trout. You were right.
If I had time to re-record, I would describe it like that in the video. There it is.
Also, I realized we forgot to mention Rachel Makesy earlier.
Rachel Makesy,
but her too.
yeah,
Thank you,
she's
comments,
fun.
for reminding me. But yes, sometimes I just want your recipe for tortillas, and I appreciate that you want to tell me about that time you went to Mexico and learned about tortillas, which is really, really cool, but not relevant to me at 5:30 p.m. just trying to make dinner.
Yeah, that's why at the end of the video I have a little card that says, don't be daft, it's okay to prioritize.
Yeah. God, oh man. Whenever I look up a recipe where I'm like, I want to look up a good buttercream recipe, and it'll be like, when I was pregnant with my third child and prepping the birthday party for my second. And it's like, stop. How long is this? And then 5 paragraphs later, it's like, and that's how 9/11 affected my overall outlook on the world. And I'm like, I just want the buttercream recipe. And then it's buttercream, so it's like, equal parts butter, powdered sugar, and then 4 tablespoons of milk. And I'm like, fucking lead with that next time, lady.
They're like, my buttercream is so much better than everyone else's buttercream. They use slightly more vanilla than the average buttercream recipe.
Yeah. Or like I scroll down and they're like, now for this one I use vegetable shortening. And I'm like, fuck you, that's not butter then. Get out of here. I have to go to someone else.
Get out of here.
Get out of here. Put your toys away, honey.
Put your toys away.
Yeah.
Anyway. I keep seeing all these like little rocks and I keep thinking Korok puzzle.
Oh my gosh, yeah, no, that's a thing. Like when you see enough of a game thing in real life and you can't stop like unseeing the mechanics. Ooh, yeah. Yeah. There was a while after playing the first Infamous game that like every satellite dish on Earth I'm like, that's a dead drop.
Whee! Climb the stones. I like how they're like, see, there's snow on this ledge, which means you can climb it.
Yeah, just give it a little white outline.
Yeah, the white outline means you can climb on that one.
Yeah. That's in Assassin's Creed, rooftop ledges with hay bales beneath. You can't see it because it's obviously off the edge of the cliff, but you see the developers put little bits of like hay on the side of the ledge,
Ooh,
so that
nice
you know that
throw.
after it you'll have a little hay bale to jump into.
Did you lose your brother?
No, he's coming behind.
He's around.
He's coming.
There he is.
He didn't just fall off a cliff to his death.
Ah.
Nate's like waiting at his door to lift it up for 17 years.
I looked up an egg in the basket recipe and it was a whole page for cut bread, add egg.
God.
Oh God. Okay, what other dumb stuff online can we start dunking on? Oh jeez.
I mean, there's the obvious comments sections and or Facebook groups, but I don't think we need to go into that.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oof.
Speaking of good Facebook groups, everything nerdy and or anything nerdy and everything in between. Great group. Red did the cover art.
They are lovely. Check them out.
So cool. Yeah.
Big fans of theirs for quite a long time at this point.
Quite a long time, yeah, years.
They're super
years and
fun.
years. Okay, cross, two swords, neato. Yeah.
Skull and
this is
crossbone,
neat, yeah.
cross swords, the dormitories.
I talked about this in a little bit in my Ireland video, but the Irish cross is a really cool bit of iconography that gives you basically all of the history just in one little sign. It's really neat to see how that kind of thing can develop, and it's totally unique to, well, this is Scotland, but like Christian Celtic
totally
culture.
unique to, well, these aren't, but.
Apparently there's a lack of domes in this game.
Lack of domes in this game. I agree. Lara Croft Tomb Raider 2 has a whole Byzantine cistern dealio. The swords are upside down. Oh my gosh, Nate, you fucking
Come
imbecile.
on, Nate. You're not good at this. I bet it's the one over there.
There's a Byzantine thing. Here we are.
Are the swords not upside down?
No crossed swords?
No,
oh, there's
it's-
only
it's
one?
that one over there.
Oh,
Look
yeah,
over there.
yeah, it is.
Yeah. You guys can't see where I'm pointing, but blue
Celtic
pen.
cross, great piece of iconography. There we go.
Yeah, there
Swords
we
are a
go.
match, but no, wrong dates.
So is the year.
Sam, come here.
Benjamin Bridgman,
Benjamin Bridgman.
I think.
You know, whenever I see one of these, like, puzzle things where there's only one right answer and the clues are so minimal, I'm just like, you're really lucky some, like, hiker didn't come up here and be like, whoa, lit, swords, and, like, leave with them.
Right?
Never mind, it's great.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh, that's why we haven't found so many tombs. The grave robbers took away all the clues in the journals.
Yep.
Oh gosh. Oh, we talked
Like
about the
these are-
Cleopatra thing on a couple streams back. That's right. I was like, oh, I gotta talk about Cleopatra's tomb. How we're like almost kind of gonna find it.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
I thought we were
talked
talking
that a
about the
while ago.
cat.
No, not our cat.
I'm only half listening. I'm sorry, friends.
Aw.
I'm a little tired.
Oh, that's
It's been a bit of a week.
It's been a bit of a week.
It's been a bit of a month.
Yeah.
It's only the 8th? 9th?
9.
Oh my god.
Heck.
Yeah, what a
At the
year
end of the
this
month,
week
there was
has been.
that text post or a Twitter thing where it's like, ah, yes, experts have suspected that we are going to be entering into a new eon after completing the March epic. This era will be called April and is also expected to last 15 to 20 million years.
Oh, crosses.
Yeah, here we
The
go.
gang's all here.
Jesus, St. Dismas, and the other guy.
We're really big on this Dismas guy. Is he like important on for some reason?
He's the penitent thief, which is basically the whole archetype that they're kind of bottling Nathan into of like, yeah, he's a thief, but like he's a good guy.
Except for the fact that he like murders
Except for the
everyone.
murders.
Yeah, he's a thief, except he also murders and he lies to his wife a lot. But he's so charming and quippy, so.
Yeah. The end of the game, we're not going to get to it on this stream, but the end of the game, when Elena's like, hey Drake, what's up? Like, finds you conked out in the middle of a fucking jungle on a deserted pirate island.
That's not the end of the game, is it?
It's later in the game.
Well,
because
yeah.
like half of the game takes place in Libertalia, which is really cool, whereas in Uncharted 3 it's like Ubar is like 2 hours. But the whole second half of the game is Libertalia, and Elena shows up and is like, hey asshole.
Jerk thief.
Yeah.
You
This was
fucker.
Gestus. It is a good game. This is a really good game. Okay, what are we doing? What heck?
Were you not reading the cutscene?
No.
Well, neither was I. I'd say go behind it and check it out.
Here we go.
Ah, there you go. Some kind of lamp. Well, that one's Jesus.
Hey, Smokey.
He is the light of the way.
The way, the truth, and the light.
That hurts my feelings. As much as it hurts your lungs.
Who
Let's
is the
replace
most
Siri
murder
with
hobo
Jesus.
saint? I don't know.
Like, hey Siri, or
so
hey
many
Jesus
saints.
Siri, how am I supposed to get there? I am the way. Well, no, but like, what road do I take?
Wow.
Were we gonna say who's the most murder hobo we have what?
Someone asked who's the most murder hobo saint. I'm like, I don't know.
Saint George killed a dragon.
Yeah.
It's not a murder hobo.
Murder hobos don't kill
That
dragons.
dragon was minding its own business.
Jesus Siri, why did the GPS cut off during the craziest part of the journey? That part I carried you for, my son.
Good.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, I can rotate it.
Yeah.
Ah, here we go.
Yeah, now we're cooking.
Shboobip. 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 Rotate a little more. A little less. Yep. And then. Okay. Yep. Yep.
Whoop.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool.
You got that one.
Puzzles.
Yeah. Now try
What?
those two.
What? Yeah, this is the other one.
No. It's diagonals.
There we go. And this one.
This guy.
Look at this Galumba.
Look at this kalimba! Now the question
this
is, are you going to
kalimba.
be able to make those two line up, or did you have to do the diagonals, like I said?
Oh, it's the diagonals like you said.
Yeah, I know.
I'm a bad pilot.
Yum. Been like high key craving fast food takeout, which, to be fair, we live close to a city, so it's not like there's not fast food. There's just no drive-throughs, and that's really sad.
Okay.
Because, yeah.
There we go. Good thing all these mechanisms still work.
Yeah, seriously. What is that?
Stained glass.
Nice view.
From the inside?
Yes.
Let me guess. Now this shows you where the treasure is.
Exactly.
Yep, there we go.
I see you too understand how to extend a runtime. We're having fun.
The part of National Treasure that made me wildly respect the movie was the bit where Nick Cage's dad is like, there's always a clue, and it always leads to another clue instead of the treasure. There's never actually gonna be any treasure, and I was like, oh my god.
Are you gonna break through the stained glass?
No.
Why?
It's not letting me shoot. It's letting me shoot, but it's not doing anything.
Boo.
There,
Then
we gotta
someone
go
else
out.
could find the clue.
I
That's
know.
some lucky glass.
Yeah. I'm going the wrong way. It's going to tell me to go back and find my allies, so we'll see what the game says. Yep.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yeah.
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 I don't know, chat. What else do you want us to talk about here? Just kind of noodling around. Ah, it's a fight now.
How did these people keep finding you?
Follow my lead.
GPS.
And why are they so hell-bent on killing you specifically? What if you were like a hiker or something?
You didn't kill either of them, but they did run away.
Did that not explode?
It did explode. It
Oh.
just didn't kill them.
Ah.
They
You have
ran.
no idea how many hikers these guys have killed.
Probably a lot. I think you're supposed to get the idea that they don't give two shits.
Yeah. Was that my last grenade? Boo.
Maybe that guy has more grenades you can steal.
Maybe. Oh, I died.
Oh, they shot me
Oh
in the
god,
lung.
Nathan!
I brought you wine. Thank you. And frankincense. Thank you. And myrrh. Thank you. Murder. Judas.
No.
Was that one of the divines?
We haven't done that one actually.
Oh my gosh. We'll do that one next time.
Hey.
Jeezy Boy hasn't really shown up yet, so.
I'm reading what people are answering to your, what you want us to talk about. One person said bread, one person said Hollow Knight, and someone said the real treasure is the friends we made along the way.
That is inadvertently the moral of this game. Not even kidding.
Well, obviously, it's all about Nate giving up his thiefy ways, right? At least until it gets way too marketable and we can make a fifth one.
Yeah.
Exactly.
This is the one last ride.
Talk about your favorite non-D&D roleplay game.
I don't really have any.
Ben?
I only play D&D. Red, what's your favorite non-D&D roleplay game?
I've already talked about Exalted, man. Nobody
Okay, yeah.
I was gonna say there's it's not really quite a roleplay game, but that card game that we got when Max and Olivia were up.
Oh yeah, there's a game called Wing It, which is kind of like Cards Against Humanity, but the premise is basically that you are given a situation, and you have cards that are basically props that you can use. So on your turn, you have to explain how you use these 3 props to escape, solve, or just become chill with the situation that you're in. So it's essentially like a storytelling game, and you win by telling the best story. It's extremely fun. It's not quite role playing, but it's improv. It's it's storytelling in similar sets of tools. It is extremely fun. The box art is cute because it's a little penguin with a jetpack. It's called Wing It. Hearty recommendation.
10 out of 10. Would recommend. Lots of fun. And also, it's like Cards Against Humanity. I feel like you really got to play it with the right group, and if you play it too much with one group, then it gets boring.
Yeah.
But this game is fun because it's a little different, and the same people with different. Like, if I were to get the same cards as Blue were to get, we would probably come up with completely different reasonings as to how we would survive / escape.
So it takes more skill, but it is extremely fun. Cards Against Humanity is really good on the first couple playthroughs, but you need to let it breathe between playing it too long. So like Red, when you and I played it with a bunch of your pals, we had a great time. But I think if we were to play it again like the week later, it wouldn't have been as fun.
Yeah. I think Cards Against Humanity is a really, really good like icebreaker because very little will get you more comfortable with a group than. I mean, like, just smash that wall as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
It's like, well, now I know what kind of horrible, dirty joke this person would make, and they think my horrible, dirty joke is funny, so we're good.
Once you find out who's gonna laugh uncontrollably at the card Hot Cheese, you've won.
Yeah.
You just find someone's humor. It's a puzzle-solving game.
Someone said, Blue, I love how you're hiding behind the crosses. It's almost like Jesus is your shield.
God. It's like when we were talking with Tim about like D&D characters, and he's like, yeah, paladins have that kind of Byzantine energy where it's like, God will save me, and if not, my shield will save me.
Yep.
Sorry, if you guys hear random noises in the background, I'm occasionally throwing treats at the cat to try to get her to come out from under the bed.
Amazing.
Bees
is a great card.
Bees
is the more nuanced mecha Hitler.
Yep. I've gotten a lot of mileage out of Batman, but
Batman, yeah.
Really good, yeah.
Because that's in all caps, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Red, remember when we first played Cards Against Humanity at sophomore retreat? Oh my god, what a time.
I'm forgetting that you guys went to the same school.
I know.
Well, because you guys talk about like sophomore retreat, I'm like, oh, that's neat. What was that?
Yeah. Hang on. I remember. Oh god. I remember freshman retreat. That was just really uncomfortable. What was sophomore retreat?
Sophomore retreat was when that's when we found Charles. When we all we
he
were all
was just
kinda
hiding in the bush.
Well, no, because he joined that year. Sophomore retreat was in. Like, freshman retreat sucked. Sophomore retreat was like basically like camp for like 4 days, where we were just kind of like not in the woods, but like in a camp area with like a ropes course and like a little bit by the lake and a volleyball like indoor court where you're playing like 50 people on each team volleyball, and I still somehow was at fault for like 6 points getting lost against us.
I think
that sounds about right.
It's coming back to me.
Yeah, but sophomore retreat was where we first discovered Cards Against Humanity.
And Charles, apparently.
And Charles. It was so much fun.
Yeah, he was actually spawned from an ancient oak in the forest.
He just walked out. He was like, I am here. Charles is awesome. Charles, I highly doubt you're watching this, but you're really cool.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like when the Pac-Man card could still shock us.
Yep. I mean, didn't that one sort of get unofficially banned in our group? Like, enough people just refused to read it that we were like, all right.
I think either that or we banned it like Meta Knight for being too OP.
Oh, that's right. But yeah, oh god. Oh, wait, okay, yeah. Sophomore retreat was the camp. Junior retreat was like the cult. And then senior retreat was the one where I had my broken clavicle, so that was kind of the only thing I was focusing on
Junior
for a
retreat
while.
was where we all went into groups and cried about our problems.
That sounds like junior year just in general.
Yeah, but this was facilitated.
No, yeah, junior year was very culty. It was uncomfortable. It was like you're supposed to like get with these people who you've supposedly known for either 3 years or like 12 years, depending on if you came in high school or not, like I did.
Yeah.
And then you're supposed to tell them all your deepest, darkest secrets and cry about it. And I was like, how about I just don't? How about we don't do that? Sound like fun?
No.
It didn't sound like fun, and it wasn't fun. But then senior retreat was really fun because of all the ice storms and the fact that I just broken my clavicle that month.
Right.
Fun.
Yeah, it was like we were all in these like cabins, and then they were like, "It's really icy outside. You should not walk from one cabin to another. It's slippery and like mountainy, and you'll probably die." And I was like, "Yeah, and if I fall, my entire body will probably shatter. So I extra can't go outside."
Fun.
Yeah. That was also the one where we nearly froze in that tiny town that only basically sold artisanal fudge.
I think I remember that.
Yeah, there was the option to go into the nearby town, which was like 80% artisanal fudge shops, and like it was like a really small town, so all the people were like closing up shop at like 5 p.m. and we were like, "What's going on?" And they were like, oh, "Don't you know? Storm's coming."
Oh yeah.
60 tonight, and I was like, "Oh, cool!" And then Mr. Jones was like we'd come down in the shuttle bus, which could only fit like 12 people, and we'd come in 2 trips, so there were too many of us, and we were like, "What are we gonna do? I mean, it's really cold, and like the snow is getting bad. What do we?" And then like the full-sized bus showed up, and Mr. Jones was kind of breezily like, "Oh, did I forget to tell you guys that I was bringing the whole bus, which has heating and enough seats for everyone?" And we were like, "Jones, you fucker! Come on, man!
That's right.
We thought we were gonna freeze."
Your high school sounds wild.
It
like
was
mine was
a
far
little
too
wild.
big. My high school was too big to like, because I went to a public regional school, so like it was far too large to even like know everyone in your grade. Like graduation was whack because there was like people walking across the stage. And I'm like, oh, I remember her from like 6th grade.
Oh,
I forgot about her. Like, because there were like there was like 900 some odd kids in my grade. Yeah.
Yeah, our high school was pretty small, but like I was new freshman year, and there were like 20 other kids who had tested in with me, and everyone sort of got slurped into a clique really quickly, and then nobody thought to introduce me to anybody, so I graduated knowing like 25 people.
Aww.
I mean, I didn't mind it. I liked you guys.
That's right. Like you joined up with us on like day 1. And it's like, okay, cool, we got rid now.
Yeah, that was that, and I was like, cool, okay. But like, I whenever I hang out with someone from high school, she'll be like, oh yeah, I mean, that was the part where like, person A is person B, and they had that big beef after 6th grade, and then like, oh, there was that thing where like they were both trying to date person C, and I was like, I don't know who those people. Was that the tall guy with the glasses? That's the tall guy with the glasses. Any of them?
Yep.
Was that one of the 47 people named Sam? I don't know.
Oh my god, there were so many.
Yeah.
Sams and Jacks, we had a bunch of those.
I feel like every American high school has a lot of Sams and Jacks.
Yep.
But yeah, no, we had 4 middle schools that went into 1 high school. So like, you got to meet a bunch of new people, but there were also just a bunch of people who I'm like, I've literally never seen your face before. So that's fun. And like, you could meet new people every year. You didn't know, like, were they an exchange student? Were they a new student? Have they been in school with you since elementary school and you've just never met them? It was wild.
Did you swap friendship bracelets in 2nd grade? Who knows?
Honestly. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. Not gonna lie, but yeah, no, it was great. I mean, it's obviously people did kind of like settle in because we could like pick which classes we took. That was the one nice thing about a really large public school is there was a lot of options for classes. So like, I was a nerd and took mostly honors and APs, and the kids who took mostly honor and AP classes, we were obviously a smaller subset, so we kind of all knew each other. But yeah, no, there were definitely people who I met in like gym class senior year, and I'm like, oh yo, and then I found out that they lived like probably half a mile from me and went to my middle school. We've just never met before.
Yep. I had thinking about it, one of the factors in me not getting to know anyone in my grade was probably that I started off high school in like one of the higher level math courses, so it was like all juniors and seniors while I was a freshman, and I was like, I don't know any of these people and they don't know me, and I don't know how to introduce myself to new people because I went to the same school for the last 12 years, and none of those people are at this school with me. So I'm just gonna sit here and do my math, and you know,
Yeah.
it was it's weird. High school is so weird. I honestly don't mind that because like, I wasn't really hooked in with the clique drama, but I hear a lot of it like secondhand, retroactively, and I'm like, that sounds exhausting.
It was.
Yeah, because I was just sitting around like, boy, this cafeteria food is fun.
You guys had cafeterias?
Yeah.
Sorry, no, we actually legitimately ate in the hallways.
I mean, we did too after like, you know, junior year, but
Yeah, no, the point was there was no way you could all fit in the cafeteria, and there were 4 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, this might be given away. Anyone who went to my high school, you might know which high school I'm talking about, but this could actually...
we don't need to be specific.
Yeah. But it was fun. It was a lot of fun. There was, because there were, I think, like 3,800 of us by the time I graduated in the school. So there was, like, you would just, like, eat outside or in the hallways. You couldn't leave campus, technically, but, like, there's so many people. Who's gonna stop you?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah,
We
it
had
was
something
nice.
Similar. Like freshman year, you weren't supposed to leave, but like one of our friends lived like next block over, and we would just go to his house and hang out.
Nice.
What are the teachers gonna do? Stop us? I mean, they probably could have, but like they were busy.
No, heck.
Oh, you're dead again.
And then there was when we discovered Star Wall, and we had all kinds of tournaments about that. Oh my gosh,
Yep.
original Star Wall was the peak of the high school experience.
Yep, clustered around a laptop in the cafeteria.
Yeah.
We are going on 2 hours. You're right, chat.
Yeah, we're probably gonna wrap up at the next like logical stopping point in this game.
Yeah, makes
Let's
sense.
get having fun.
Yeet. Sparta!
Yeah. One nice thing is about a big school is that people are like, no one's really popular. People thought they were,
Oh,
but
God.
like,
high school popular is not the same thing as popular.
you really can't be that popular when there's that many people because there's always a couple people who have never heard your name. Like,
Yeah.
there are people who are like,
Keeps
who's
you humble.
this guy? I'm like, he's our class president. They're like, really? I'm like, yeah.
And then
They're
there's
like,
the
oh,
Heathers,
wow.
They float above it all. Yeah.
Where's
They're
that
like,
coming
me too.
from?
I don't know, but you're probably gonna die.
Sounds like
Yeah.
a thing that a lesser thief would do.
You died
dying.
like 4 times.
Ah!
Oh, there you go.
Ooh.
Effing chat.
People are like,
feel
Blue's
bad.
not a very stealthy gamer, is he?
I am in games that aren't Uncharted, but the problem is this game really does not make it easy for you to be stealthy. So
My controller's broken. My dad works at Nintendo.
my dad, Jack Sony, would not be pleased with this.
I feel, oh man, sorry, the high school popularity thing reminded me. I feel kind of bad because there were a few kids who like had that aura of like, you're probably one of the popular kids, right? Like, you're conventionally attractive and you wear clothes that I think are fashionable and you have this kind of attitude, but I don't know any of your names.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that was just me for 4 straight years. Like, oh man, there was some kind of like drama with the yearbook committee and how. It
Oh
was
my
basically-
God, was there
Yeah.
ever?
But that's the thing. Like, they were like, it was all people I didn't know talking about people I didn't know.
Yeah.
It was like, oh man, and I
tea.
can't believe like A was like, holy shit, we should totally vote like a most likely to sleep with a college professor category. And then A's friends were like, haha, that'll be great. And nobody told B who was voted, and I was just like, yeah,
Totally.
wow.
I still think about that a lot.
Yeah.
That was bad, and the yearbook
was-
committee
that-
should feel bad about that.
You've never
That
even
was
told me the
wild.
story, so
I'll
you
tell
can't
you.
think
I'll
about
tell
it
you
now.
afterwards. Actually,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like
It was a weird
maybe a long time
situation,
ago.
but it was also like there was one time I remember because like I was after school for some reason I was chilling in the cafeteria just doing some work, and like the entire yearbook committee was like one table over, loudly talking about how unfair it was that they were being forced to publicly apologize for slut shaming this girl in the
Oh
yearbook.
my God.
Yeah, it
I
was
was
bad.
I was just sitting there like with my head down, like, yep, they don't think I can hear them.
That's
They
fun.
don't particularly care because I've never talked to them. Oh boy! So,
Yeah,
oh,
no.
high school.
My biggest high school accomplishment was how many people thought I was in both debate and robotics, but I wasn't. But like to the point where I was in 1 year the robotics picture because someone told me I had to get up on, like, they do all of the club pictures all at once, like in the auditorium, so you have to go if you're in like any club. So someone's like, Caroline, you're supposed to be on stage right now. I'm like, oh, sorry. So I just popped up and I'm like, what picture was this anyway? And they're like, robotics. I'm like, I'm not in robotics. So I wasn't on stage. They're like, oh, whoops.
You just had like a nerd aura, and they were like, yeah, she seems like she'd probably do Model UN.
You'll fit.
I did do Model UN. That was the problem.
I knew it!
I was Chief Justice of the ICJ for 2 years.
It's my Mun radar.
Yeah, I wasn't in debate though, although my little sister's in debate, and so people now, even more so, they're like, yeah, remember when you were in debate? I'm like, no, I do not.
You got Mandela affected.
Yeah.
Exactly. Everyone else is like, you totally were. I was like, I swear to you, I was not. I also did
God.
youth in government or youth in government, depending on what state you're from. So that also did not help. Fun fact.
Nice.
Don't do anything political.
Yeah. Oh god. Yeah, that was the other thing. Like junior, senior.
I'm not
year,
hating on
everyone's
robotics nerds. I studied engineering. I just wasn't in robotics.
Yeah, we love the robotics people. We just aren't those people.
It's like when we were talking about dwarfs being Philly, and someone's like, hey, how do you say that about Philly people? It's like, how dare you say that about dwarves? Like, clearly this reflects on you. We didn't say anything bad.
Someone said, I guess Cyan's name was Susan.
Huh.
What?
You name dropped yourself a minute ago.
Yeah, sorry. But that's fine.
Yeah. God, I remember junior, senior year. There was like there was a lot of weird stuff about our high school, but there was definitely this like serious
Shit. Whoops.
we are the elite and we have to get into excellent colleges. And like junior and senior year, that translated to we need to do extracurriculars. And like I don't know. Suddenly everyone was jockeying for like, oh, I'm this president now, or I want a financial role in this club, and it's just like, eh. And then the college advisors would be like, you should join this, or that, or do this other thing, and it's like, but I don't wanna, and I don't know any of these people, and I'm a junior, and it would be weird because I don't know these people.
Yeah.
And like, colleges see when you just joined something junior year. Like, they know. Like, college admissions people aren't dumb, guys. They see when you join something junior year to put it on your resume. Like, I'm not saying don't join it if this is something you liked, but like, they're gonna know.
In my case, I joined a lot of things just because I finally had the time for it, so I recognize it looked like I was doing the extracurricular Olympics in my senior year, but it's like, no, I joined the tea club because there were cool people in tea club.
Tea club? Like
yeah, we had a tea club.
Like they drink tea?
Yeah, it was great. Red, you were there for some of it, right? Tangentially?
I think I must have showed up.
Yeah.
Like junior, senior year, probably.
Yeah. Senior year, mainly.
That was probably it. Yeah, I'm sure I came to Tea Club for that. But yeah, it was weird. And also, that was the other thing. Like, they tell you, listen, on your college apps, be genuine, okay? They're trying to get a feel for who you are as a person. Don't try to answer things right. Try and show who you are. But try telling that to, like, a class of people who, for the past, like, 4 to 16 years have been told, like, you gotta, you know, great college, you gotta be the perfect student. You know, I mean, like, I know that wasn't everybody, but there were a lot of, like, professors' kids at our school, and there were a lot of, like, rich kids at our school, and in both cases, there was a certain amount of, like, from the parents, like, listen, I love you, and I will not love you less if you don't get into the college that I want you to get into.
Yeah.
But, yeah, you know, the implied but. There's always a but.
Yeah, no, it was very similar at our school. Like, you know, there were those kids who thought the world ended because they only got into 2 of the schools that they wanted to instead of 5, and you're like, you only can go to 1. It's gonna be okay, friends. If any of you are seniors or trying to like apply to schools or juniors about to be able to,
oh my god, people
you're gonna
applying
be
to
okay.
schools right now. Oh,
you're gonna
wow,
be okay.
that's
You'll get
so
in somewhere.
rough.
You'll go somewhere, and it will probably end up being perfectly fine. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, it'll be fine. It's always stressful, and you know, there's a certain amount of like choice paralysis and stress about that kind of thing. But like, it's gonna be rough for a few months, and then you're gonna almost completely forget how bad you felt for those months.
Like for me, it felt like a personal slight because I only got into 1 school out of the 7 I applied to. And I was like, oh wow, I must just suck. But then, you know, when I got there and showed up and started making friends, I'm like, oh no, this is fine.
Yeah,
this is fine.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't get into my top choice that I applied to. I got into another choice that I applied to, and then I went to the 3rd choice because I liked it better than my 2nd choice on further review. Like,
yeah. I had like I had 4 kind of top choice colleges, and of those 4 I got into 1, and that's where I went. But I had like a handful of safe schools. But the thing is, the school that I ended up going to is the one that like sent out the letter first. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm in. And then, you know, like NYU would be like, hey, here's your letter. And the other places, I was like, okay, thanks, guys. I'm all right. Which is actually, like, that's a thing they've been sort of trying to avoid now. There's been like some game theory about it. Because if you get in somewhere better, you're not going to go to their school, and they don't want to set aside a slot for you that someone for whom you're their top choice would be willing to take. So, oh man, it's like becoming way more common for people to apply to like 20 schools and get into like 1 or 0 places because all of these schools are like trying to game theory their way into only accepting the people who will actually show up.
Yeah, it's all math, guys. They want to have a high acceptance. Like, they want... When it comes to college admissions, they don't care so much about how... They want to have, like, a really high number of people who they let in attend. Like, it's all math and game theory and stupid. Just... It's gonna be okay, I promise you. It's not the end of the world.
It's also because admissions is in itself a business because they make way more money off of your application fee than they spend to review it. So that's a whole other thing, but...
go ahead.
Also,
a lot of schools, like, they will brag about their low acceptance rate.
Yes.
Which means they will try and encourage as many people as possible to apply and then accept very few of them.
Exactly.
So, like, when
but they also have to make sure they only admit the number of people they're planning on, like, because they have to not over-admit, because if they do, then suddenly all these people say, oh, I'm coming, and they're like, oh.
I mean, yeah, that's been a huge problem for years of, you know, they do the math wrong, and they have to, like, put people in the nearby hotel because there's no space in dorms. So, you know, with the recent, like, college cheating admissions scandal from a couple years ago, like, every single college dropped their admitted students. Yeah, last year. Heck. They
what
dropped.
A year this week has been.
They dropped their admitted students number by like a third or a quarter. Like this year especially seems like a bloodbath. Even though this ended up just being the only year in which colleges didn't massively over-enroll.
Yeah, it's a lot, friends. Just it's gonna be okay. Do your best.
Yeah.
Go to if you want to go to college. If college is the right path for you, go to college. If community college is the right path for you, go to community college. If tech school is the right path for you, go to tech school. If not going to college is the right path for you, that's also okay. Just
it's also it's also totally cool to like take a gap, you know, spend a year or two doing your own thing and then go to college. I mean, my college roommate had taken a gap year and like gone to China without knowing Chinese and just lived there for a while, like immersion learning the language and stuff like that. So you know, there's all kinds of stuff you can do, and it's totally cool if you take a year or two to be like, what do I want to do? Let me figure this out. And you know, I know a lot of the time you kind of get stuck on the track from like middle school, high school, college, possibly grad school, doctorate, you know, whatever. But like, don't be afraid to hop off the conveyor belt and just sort of get a feel for yourself and what you really want to pursue.
Yeah.
It'll be all right.
All right, let's say we finish this puzzle and call it a stream.
Woot.
Sounds good.
Put the water in the bucket and put it in the thing. Bingo.
We gotta get the crosses down there. Okay.
Boo. Do you have to like turn the thingy things?
Yeah.
Oh, you have to look in your journal first.
Black cross on the bottom right, white cross on the bottom left, middle cross in the middle. Cool.
Okay, so just like reverse it from what it is currently. A little more. There you go. And then, now go turn the 1, 2 to the left.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, no.
No?
Well, because you're going to need to turn the 1 to your right, 1 backwards, and then you'll have to change that one. So, see, turn that one. Yep.
No, come on.
There you go.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Woo! Try pulling the switch.
Well, you could try pulling the switch. Maybe you should do something, Sam.
Sam's just like buffing his fingernails like, oh, almost
You pulled out a skeletal arm. Just put the skeleton arm in there.
Yeah, let's try it.
I mean, it's not like you haven't died 17 times before.
There we go.
Do-do-do. Middle cross in the middle. Yes, chat.
The bucket's gotta be up. Right.
Let's be real though. Like if you stuck your hand in there, like the army of chipmunks that made that thing their home would have just instantly stripped the flesh from your bones. It's a cozy little nook in an ancient temple. There's definitely something living in there.
And then just rotate that bottom one again.
Surprised I didn't get killed for that.
Da-da.
No,
heck.
burn.
Nope.
No.
Whap.
There we go.
Da da da.
In the Uncharted definitive playthrough by Nolan North and Troy Baker, they have a whole gag about, like, the guy who's hiring the contractors to make these elaborate traps.
Yes.
That's really funny. Whew, okay, let's finish this puzzle and we can call it a stream.
Nathan, look, I think you got it. Da da da.
Cool.
Because these vlogs totally have survived this long. That's
Yeah.
great.
If only we could have filled the bucket literally any other way.
Yeah. Just chuck some water up there. Alright, so, now that we are coming to the end of our stream, thank you so much for joining us. This was a lot of fun.
This was fun.
Had fun, just chilled, talked about some random stuff. I don't even know what we talked about. I'll look at the VOD later. But any last words before we call it? Cyan, Red, anything to say?
I do actually feel really bad if you're applying to college right now because the world is kind of on fire and we have no idea what's coming in the next few months.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, like, focus on yourself, kind of live in the moment for now because you really cannot predict what's coming.
Yeah.
And you know, it's always kind of anxiety-inducing to try and see the future and prevent bad things from happening, which is kind of, you know, the dream. But my point is, don't stress too much about what the future might hold because there's literally no way to predict it now, like less than normal. Just take it easy, treat this like a really extended spring or summer break, and click back with reality in like September, October, see what happens then.
Just do your best, friends.
Focus on you in whatever way you feel like is best, whether that's being creative, whether that's just consuming some media, you know, whatever makes you feel comfortable and, you know, healthy is good. So just
maybe build a hand crossbow if it's legal where you live to do so.
build a hand crossbow. That's no, definitely. Come on.
I thought you said you were done.
Yeah. I have a compulsive need to finish things like puzzles and boxes and stuff. All right, cool. So that has been our stream. Red, are you doing another reading tomorrow, or are we saving that for the next slate?
Ooh, tomorrow. That's an interesting
I don't know.
idea.
You said you wanted to continue doing Discworld, but I don't want to put the pressure on you. So.
Well, that's the thing. Guards. We did a reading of it, or I did a reading of it yesterday. I got about a quarter of the way through in about 2 hours. So, I mean, I could finish it in like 3 more streams, and spacing those out like that would probably be good. I do need to like give my voice a bit of a rest, so it might be Saturday, not Friday. Just because I don't particularly want to lose my voice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can probably just space those out, get through guards pretty fast. And if you missed it and you're curious, the VOD is up, so feel free to check that out. I'll probably set aside like a little dedicated readings playlist just to make things easier for people.
We'll tweet about it when the stream goes up, and if you're subscribed, you'll see it. If you're in the Discord, you'll get a ping.
Yep.
What the heck? Treasure. Anyway, yeah. All right. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time. Stay tuned for England tomorrow. Bye!